Welcome back to another episode of Y2W Sports Podcast, episode 204. I am the NFL genius, Gene Walzak, and it is football season. Football season is upon us. And in the upper left corner, I got Kent State's own, Cleveland's own, and he's a shitty Buckeyes fan, College Cottrell.
Well, good evening, everybody. Gene is happy. You know, Penn State took care of business against unranked West Virginia, and, you know, he gets to be a fan for next, 6-7 weeks. So Gene's fired up. You know, Eagles are undefeated. Penn State's undefeated. You know, I expected this. Can't lie. Definitely expected it. Not to mention he picked them. So I knew he was going to come in a little hot, a little feisty. Went 3-0 this week, you know. Got a big head over there. So I get it. But definitely was expecting it. But, hey, just know I'm ready for it.
I love the little reference of unranked West Virginia, but last week, West Virginia is such a tough place to play. I can see them losing to West Virginia. Now they're the unranked West Virginia team. Penn State went in there and dominated. Drew Aller looked like Jesus.
Well, I won't say all that, but I expected Penn State to win handedly. I expected them to cover, so don't direct that at me.
That's okay. I'll direct it to Uncle Shally, Scholastic Shally, Mr. Willie Shawcross. Willie. I'm going Willie this week.
Let's not do that.
How you feeling tonight?
I'm good. I am ready for football to get underway here.
I'm fired up too. I mean, I'm with you. We got a whole NFL show for you this week. We got NFL quarterbacks list. We're going to break down week one. We're back to pick 'em, NFL pick 'em, college football pick 'em. We got our trivia question that Bill has to give this week. Finally, his run is over for a little bit. Something was just thrown at him from the other side of the room. I'm fired up. Let's get rolling. Where are we starting, Cottrell?
Well, I mean, I figured, you know, with the QBs list being the last one to go here, you want to just get right into that? You want to go week one? I mean, it's up to you.
I'm fine with doing the QBs list. I seen y'all QBs list. I seen your 10 through 6s. And listen, there's some holes in the boat. So I can't wait to see your top 5 so we can break those down. And I can let you guys know the top 5 quarterbacks in the NFL this year. All right, let's see how we did. How you guys did. Oh, see, this CJ Stroud love is just too much. It's too much. Sophomore slump coming. Y'all a little crazy. That's okay.
Didn't you have him at 6?
I did. I have him 6. I gave him 6.
I'm 5. One spot.
You got him half that.
And everybody else, we've talked about every Eagle known to man up until this point, and they're gonna have a regression in their season, and ball can't go to everybody. And here you are with Jalen Hurts at 5.
Well, hold on. The ball can't go to anybody because Jalen Hurts is going to be spreading it out to everyone. Levante Smith, A.J. Brown, Saquon Barkley is just going to be all over the map. So I only have him 5. I felt like I was not being a homer here. I only put him 5. I allowed other quarterbacks to be ahead of him. That's very realistic of my eyes.
Yeah.
No? You don't think so?
I mean, Bill had him at 10.
Bill's a hater.
Not true. Not true at all.
Bill is what you would call a hater.
Not true.
All right, let's get rolling. Let's get into our top 5. Cottrell, why don't you start us off?
All right, so number 5 for me, I'm going with Josh Allen. Now, a lot of people might be saying, hey, Josh Allen's top 3 talent in the NFL, and I'd be inclined to agree with you. But the reality is that he's going to be going in with a bunch of new weapons this year. I think Dalton Kincaid will have a great year. We talked about him with the tight ends list, but there's going to be a group of people that Josh is going to have to find that connection with. And I worry about how that's going to look this year. I still think he's incredible, and I still think that Bills offense will roll, but I had to just drop it down a little bit, down to 5. Typically he's in, 3. I see Gene has him all the way up at 2. I think Keon Coleman will develop into being a good receiver for that Buffalo Bills team, but I think it's just going to take time, and I think Buffalo struggles a little bit out the gate, just finding that chemistry and things like that. But with that said, I mean, what Josh can do on with his legs and what he can do, just creating plays on the run, things like that, I had to have Josh Allen in my top 5. So ultimately, that's why he landed at 5.
Number 5, we'll go with CJ Stroud from Houston. Amazing rookie year. Believe it or not, led the league in almost a 74% completion percentage against zone, which is usually the one big thing that rookies struggle against. It remains to be seen how the Stephon Diggs thing works out. You're adding another weapon. They also got him Joe Mixon in the backfield, which should provide more of a steady presence out of the running back role. Still have Dalton Schultz at tight end, obviously Tank Dell and Nico Collins. I think that offense is just loaded. I don't know if I'm necessarily saying CJ Stroud's the 5th best quarterback in the league, but this is a projections list based upon the year they're going to have. I think with that offense that he's going to have and all the weapons around him, I think he's going to mature a little bit more. Not to mention that defense is going to be another year more experienced. I think the Houston Texans are going to be a very good football team. I think CJ Stroud's going to have another great year. Lands number 5 for me.
So I have Jalen Hurts number 5, and if I didn't have him number 5, I couldn't justify having A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith. I love Jahan Dotson, this Eagles offensive line. I couldn't be able to justify that. Jalen Hurts in a new system with a good offensive coordinator is going to go back to the offensive system that he had with Shane Steichen. This year it's Kellen Moore. Motion will be made. A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, Jahan Dotson, Saquon Barkley, all those guys are going to eat, and they're going to eat from the hands of Jalen Hurts, who's going to have to run the ball a lot less because they have a running back now. He's not going to have to get beat up. He's not going to be injured 90% of the year. I have faith in Kellen Moore to teach this team on what a blitz beater was. They had no idea what that was last year. So I have Jalen Hurts number 5. Number 4, I have Joe Burrow, and Joe Burrow was the toughest one for me to place on this list. Joe Burrow healthy is the 2nd best quarterback in the NFL. Joe Burrow without Jamar Chase, without T. Higgins, we don't know. Jamar's returned back to practice today. He could not show up tomorrow. They might not pay him. I don't think they can afford him. I'm going to be honest with you. A lot of these owners in the NFL are spending out of their own pocket to pay these guys bonus money, and Mike Brown does not have it. He was inherited the team. He cannot afford. They're talking about taking out a loan to be able to pay Jamar Chase. That's wild to me. Joe Burrow lands at number 4, but I don't know where to put him. I think he's the 2nd best talent. I think he could finish outside the top 10. I don't know what's going to happen with Cincinnati. Their organization's a mess. So I had him land at number 4.
Number 4, I got Lamar Jackson. Obviously coming off his 2nd MVP now in 5 years. It's kind of hard to keep coming up with things to, keep him further down the list. I understand he still doesn't have the preventive, showcase playoff win or Super Bowl yet. Todd Monken come in, I think is going to help. Obviously added Derrick Henry behind him, add a real physical running game, which would hopefully let him take a couple less hits and stay on his feet a little bit more and open up the passing game as well. Obviously, Mark Andrews is going to be there. Zay Flowers, 2nd year now, showed just absolute flashes of brilliance last year. I think Lamar Jackson is another big year. Number 4 for me. It's just really hard just not to say he's top 5 anymore.
For me, I also have Joe Burrow at number 4, just like Gene. I agree with Gene, too, with the sentiment. Joe Burrow is probably the toughest person to place on this entire list. The whole issues right now going on with Jamar Chase definitely worry me. I mean, I know he came back to practice today, but is this going to be something that's lingering? Is it going to take them a while to get that connection back going, things like that? I also wonder what Joe's going to look like post his injury. We've talked about on this show that Joe having these injuries, just random weird injuries, it just feels like he could potentially be thinking about retirement. Again, that's a lot of us just speculating here, but don't know what Joe's going to look like coming back and things like that after having that surgery. So biggest question mark on my list was Joe Burrow, but I just think he's too damn good to not have within the top 5. So ultimately settled on him coming in at number 4. Number 3 for me is CJ Stroud. I think with what we saw last year from CJ Stroud after he lost Tank Dell and really didn't have a great running situation. I mean, I think they stepped up the receivers in that room, and they also got him a better running back. by no means am I a huge Joe Mixon fan, but I think he's going to be more serviceable and definitely more reliable than what they had last year. And then getting Tank Dell back healthy, and we saw the connection that they had last year, and then adding in a guy like Stephon Diggs, I think that just has talent. That's talent galore. So you got 3 guys that can beat whoever they're matched up against. I think that's going to make CJ Stroud's life a lot easier. And like to Bill's point, he was able to navigate the zone defenses and know exactly what was coming for him. And that's definitely an area I thought he would struggle, because that's where he struggled at last year in the preseason. So I thought he was going to have more of a learning curve coming in. But I think with what they have as far as coaching goes, they were able to keep their OC, be Coach Ryan's second year with them as well. I think they have a lot of good cohesion there. And I think CJ Stroud is going to build upon what you saw from him last year.
Number 3 for me, I got Josh Allen. See, we're kind of, all over the board here with him a little bit, but I'm in the same ilk of Gene that I think Stephon Diggs not being there is going to make Josh Allen a better quarterback. I think it's going to open up the field for him completely. I think it stops him from forcing the ball to the one side of the field consistently, which if you watch any kind of Buffalo games, he does. We talked about Keon Coleman. Just like Gene, again, I'm a huge Dalton Kincaid fan. I think Dalton Kincaid is going to have a huge year. Not to mention, you saw at the end of last year when they started getting really successful, they didn't abandon the run. James Cook had a kind of a breakout year last year. I think they run the ball even more this year. Josh Allen, since 2020, has got 173 touchdowns accounted for, the most in the NFL. I think you see him settle down a little bit this year, and I think he has a really good year. So he came in number 3 for me.
I have Lamar Jackson number 3, and being number 3 on this list is no slight to anyone. I'll tell you something right now. Lamar Jackson last year led the Baltimore Ravens to the best record in the NFL. They were number 1 seed in the AFC, and they were great. They were awesome. I think adding Derrick Henry has shown you that they want to rely on the run game. They want to be able to play defensive football. The only 2 reasons that I would have Lamar Jackson not number 1 or number 2 are the 2 guys ahead of him. My number 2 is Josh Allen. And let me tell you why Josh Allen's going to be my number 2. I can't put him ahead of Patrick Mahomes. Patrick Mahomes is the best quarterback in the world. But this year, Josh Allen is going to win the MVP, most valuable player. You're going to be able to spread the ball around to everyone on the football field, not force feed it to Stephon Diggs. And Josh Allen's going to do that this year. He's got Dalton Kincaid. He's got a rookie wide receiver in Keon Coleman, Curtis Samuel, Khalil Shakir. Dawson Knox is back. James Cook, another year in Joe Brady's offense. I think Josh Allen has his best year as a pro being able to throw the ball and play within the offense, not force feed the ball to a receiver that's begging for targets. That's more the reason why I moved Josh Allen up my list. I think the Buffalo Bills defense is going to be terrible. I think Buffalo is going to be playing from behind a lot. And I think Josh Allen's going to put up video game numbers this year. I have it at number 2.
Number 2, I have Joe Burrow. I think Joe Burrow comes back from the injury. The only thing I slightly disagree with Gene, I think Jamar Chase is going to play. And I think they'll find out a way to pay him. They can't. There's no way they can let him walk or even risk losing him. I think it gets done. They said they've been closed for a couple weeks now. Joe Burrow and Chase obviously have that connection. We've seen it over and over. Still have T. Higgins. Still going to have a very good offense. I think he's the most polished kind of under pressure player on here other than Patrick Mahomes. And that matters a lot. Super Bowl appearance obviously came up a little bit short, has that experience as well. I think as long as he's physically ready to go, I don't think Joe Burrow skips any kind of beat. I think he goes right back to where he was. And number 2 on my list is firmly his.
Number 2 for me, I'm going with the reigning MVP in the league, with Lamar Jackson. I think it's going to be huge that Baltimore added Derrick Henry there. I do think that's going to open up a lot more in the rushing attack for them. I think Gus Edwards is, one thing, or Justice Hill is one thing, but being able to bring in a guy like Derrick Henry that can wear down the defense, especially for that Baltimore team where we know the fourth quarter is not their friend. I think when you can have a guy like Derrick Henry to just be there and wear out, opposing teams' defenses late in that fourth quarter, I think that's going to make Lamar's job a lot easier. Not to mention, I know Keaton Mitchell is still on the PUP list, and he's not going to be back till at least week 5. but that's another just explosive player that they have on their offense. Now, you guys have mentioned Zay Flowers and Mark Andrews and Isaiah Likely. Like, we know what those guys can do. I think Baltimore has slowly been adding in skill players to fit around Lamar and just ultimately make his job easier. And I think we saw that last year in a sense. Like, I know he won MVP, but he really didn't wow me really, a lot throughout the season. It was like, hey, I go in, I do what I got to do, we win games, and, we move on from there. So I think Lamar is kind of going to continue that trend, and you're going to see him still finish as number 2 quarterback in football, but wasn't even close to reaching number 1, because the best quarterback in football is Patrick Mahomes. Patrick Mahomes last year, I had a lot of question marks with what that receiving core looked like, and what are they going to look like with just a lot of question marks. You had Sky Moore, who a lot of people thought was going to be one of their up and coming projects, and him being a former 2nd round pick didn't really pan out. Rashee Rice really came out of nowhere last year and took over that number 1 receiver role for him. Travis Kelce was starting to regress a little bit last year, and what did Patrick Mahomes do? He went out and he led Kansas City to a back-to-back Super Bowl win. So got to give the crown to Patrick Mahomes. I like what Kansas City did as well, getting them some fast receivers and Worthy and Hollywood Brown. I think you're going to see Patrick Mahomes look exactly like Patrick Mahomes has looked for the last 6 years, and he's going to be firmly in that MVP discussion yet again.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know what else really to add on to this other than I think Kansas City this year is going to be better than they were last year. Cottrell mentioned kind of the big reasons why. I think adding Brown, drafting Xavier Worthy, who we all thought was a great pick for them to get. I think you're going to see a lot of the deep element back in the Kansas City offense this year, which is scary. After they lost Tyreek Hill, they didn't rely on the deep ball as much. I think with Rashee Rice underneath, Juju coming back again, and obviously the two, obviously with Worthy and Brown, and then obviously Travis Kelce just working anywhere he wants to work and gets open, and Mahomes finds him the ball. I think you're going to see. It's a scary thing to say. I think you're going to see a more dynamic Kansas City offense this year. I think Patrick Mahomes is your favorite to win MVP for a reason, and he's obviously just a step above everybody else. Lands number 1 on my list as well.
Patrick Mahomes is the best quarterback in football. So I'm going to take my time talking about Patrick Mahomes by responding to some of your comments. Alex over here says CJ needs another year before I put him on this list. He doesn't. It's a projections list. You could have a rookie quarterback on this list. It's your projection for 2024. But I agree with you. I think that the sophomore slump will be real. I think NFL defensive coordinators will be able to adjust to CJ Stroud and that offense. I think that's what's going to happen. I don't think he's going to be bad. I just don't think he'll be top 5. Will Josh cut out the unnecessary deep ball and the quadruple coverage? I don't know if he's going to get rid of the arm punts. I don't. But what I will say is this. I think he'll play within the offense a lot more, knowing that he's not forcing the ball to one player. I think that Joe Brady's offense as a whole is better for Josh Allen. They won the last 5 games going down the stretch. They had a run going into the playoffs. I think they'll continue with that run. And then Sean said, Gene with the homer pick, Jalen Hurts in the top 5. That's got to be Stroud. No, it doesn't. Jalen Hurts' best season was better than CJ Stroud's best season. Jalen Hurts took a step back last year with an offensive coordinator that they hired from within, which I thought was a mistake. Nick Sirianni's offense as a whole is never been good. Shane Steichen was the reason and the catalyst for what Jalen Hurts accomplished in 2022. Last year, it was Brian Johnson and Nick Sirianni. This year, it's Kellen Moore. And if you want to tell me there's a quarterback that has a better combination of weapons, running back, wide receiver, tight end, and offensive line than Jalen Hurts, I will wait. And Jordan Love is in a couple people's top 10, I think, right? Let me see if you guys had him in the top 10.
Who?
Jordan
No.
Love. Okay. Nobody's top 10?
Nope, not mine.
Jordan Love is in no one's top 10. Brett, answering your question. But Patrick,
He's in yours, Gene.
He's in my. I had him number 9. There you go. I forgot my top 10. Thank you. But I have him number 9 for you, and it's just respect because I'm scared of him Friday night. After Friday night, I'll drop him out of my top 10. All right, but
I just have one question. I got roasted for this like the first year we did this. when I picked Herbert to win MVP, but have him number 2 on my list. And now you pick Josh Allen to win, and you're number 2 on your list. Why didn't you put him number 1 then?
Because I think Patrick Mahomes is the best quarterback in football, and I think Josh Allen is going to be the most valuable to his team this year.
Oh,
I do. I think Patrick Mahomes, I think they're going to run away with the AFC West. I think they're going to not rest him, but call a very vanilla game plan. I think he'll be the best quarterback in football, and I think Josh Allen will be battling in the AFC East, playing 17 games, having a more productive season as far as numbers. Doesn't mean he's better, just means it's more productive. That's where I'm at. Is that not a logical answer? Where's Kirk? Stop it. Stop it, Andre.
I told you Andre is delusional. But I mean, it is logical, but again, it's the projections list. I mean, I would have put him number 1 if I had him getting MVP.
That's
fair.
Just
me though.
That's fair. I didn't see. Listen, I don't know what happened to me. It's changed. I went from wearing the guy that wear the Be Bold shirt to the guy that's just, oh, well, Patrick Mahomes is the best quarterback in football, so I have to put him number 1. I got to change that. Next year, 2025 might be a new Gene. You might see a different Gene. I might have to go back to Be Bold Gene.
You're going to be on the fence, Gene?
That's fine. I'll be on my
ledge. New one. It's like
my branch.
No, not on your branch. I'm talking about just toe the line. Like, oh, right now, Patrick's going to be good. Like, you know how Bill used to do?
Yeah.
But you're gonna turn into Bill in 2025?
I feel like that's where I've been this year. Bill's wearing off on me. It's not good.
Well, I mean, we've already introduced it a little bit. Might as well go into our awards, preseason awards.
I'm so ready for the awards. The guys, I'm been a little bold with a couple of these, and that's okay. Let's see where you're at. Look at that. Bill's got MVP CJ Stroud. Got him number 4, 5. So you can't talk.
I was not talking. I was just pointing out the hypocrisy in it all. That's all.
That's fair. Okay, so what stands out to you guys? Because I'll go last.
I think for me, the one thing that stood out, and for you, like on your list, Gene, it's going to be your defensive player of the year and your defensive rookie of the year. I love Terry Arnold for a defensive rookie of the year. I think he can have an absolutely phenomenal year with that Detroit Lions team. I just think it's tough. I know we've seen, Sauce do it in years past, but I just think it's tough from that cornerback position. But as far as defensive player of the year, I think Roquan Smith is absolutely phenomenal. I just have question marks because with them bringing in a new DC, I know it was somebody who was on staff from them last year, but I'm just curious to see if his 2024 looks exactly like 2023 did, or even a step better, especially when you got guys that are going to be rushing the passer 18, 19, 20 sacks a year, and TJ, Miles, and Micah. Like, I think that's going to be tough to beat there. So just curious to see what the production level looks like from him. Still think he's the best linebacker in football, but curious to see numbers-wise where he ends up with a new DC.
See, and I'll respond to that real quick. Just give me 10 seconds. Last year, he went from having 169 tackles prior to 158 tackles. The guy is a 150 tackle machine. I think that the more he progresses in the style of play and the offense, and losing Patrick Queen, he might have 180 tackles this year. The guy's just unbelievable. He's all over the field. When there's a football on the field, Roquan Smith is there. And to have the best safety, in my opinion, in football behind him, in Kyle Hamilton, it allows him to be more aggressive. He's going to have more roam, more control of the defense this year. I think Roquan Smith is, without a shot, that's my pick. I think he's going to pick the ball off more. I think he's going to force more fumbles, and I think he's going to continue to be a tackling machine.
Talent was never a question for me there. I just would like to see, like, with this new DC, I wouldn't be surprised at all. I know he's a hell of a player, best linebacker in football in my eyes. And then just to go over, though, the Bills list, the only thing that kind of surprised me was, as great as as McCaffrey is, we all had him as number 1 on our running backs list. I was kind of surprised to see him end up as the offensive player on the year on Bills list. Not to say that he can't do it, but again, we see how tough it is to replicate or even just be in that same stratosphere of numbers. So I was surprised to see leaning the McCaffrey route back-to-back years.
Same sense. You're both relying on Tyreek Hill to have another crazy year, which will be 3 years in a row for him. So yes. It's kind of the same thing. I think C-Mac is still obviously going to be the focal point of that offense. And I've said it before. I think Tyreek Hill is great, but he does have another guy on the other side of him that I think is going to continually eat into his touches as well. So wouldn't be surprised, obviously, if Tyreek Hill won, but I mean, I think C-Mac is just as capable of having back-to-back years as Tyreek Hill would be to have the third year in a row of having insane numbers.
So I'll take it a step further. I have John Harbaugh as my coach of the year, and I wanted to talk about that for a second. I think him losing his defensive coordinator, and I think that the Ravens will still have a top 10 defense, I think will speak volumes to him. I think the Ravens come out Thursday night, and I know we're going to prep the game, but I think they come out Thursday night and they make a statement. Make that very clear. I love Baltimore on Thursday night. Might be one of my picks. You might find out shortly. I like to hear Cottrell. I just question. You brought up, a couple guys on my list. Patrick Mahomes having the best season. I have no issue with that. Tyreek Hill, offensive player of the year, no issue with that. Micah Parsons, no issue with that. I think you picked the favorite at every single position. And you want to talk about me being bold? That's no boldness at all. There's literally the favorite on all 6.
I don't know if that is accurate.
I think you have the favorite at every single position, every award.
I don't know if that's accurate. I mean, I think it's one thing to be bold and be different, but I mean, these are guys who I think is going to win. Patrick Mahomes hasn't been MVP didn't win it last year, so I think that automatically is going to have Lamar out of the running. I think their receiving core also got better as far as Tyreek Hill goes. Tyreek Hill would have won Offensive Player of the Year had he played all 17 and not missed those 2 games in the middle of the season and really stopped the momentum there. Micah Parsons. Everybody on my list, and I'll keep going through them, but everybody on my list here, I made sure that I didn't pick guys who either won the award last year or have won in like more like recent years past. Patrick Mahomes being the one exception, I just think he's going to have the phenomenal year and just go back to being the normal Patrick Mahomes that we see. When it comes to offensive rookie of the year, I had Caleb Williams in my top 10. That's where the boldness comes in. I didn't just pick him to win offensive rookie of the year. I had him coming in at number 8. I think Caleb Williams is going to receive MVP votes this year. I feel exactly the same about Caleb Williams, how you did about Caitlin Clark coming into the WNBA. I think he's going to have that level impact right away. I think the Bears have done everything in their power to build around him the right way, what they didn't do for Justin Fields. I think you're going to see Caleb have 43 to 4,500 yards this year and be an absolute machine. And just a little foreshadowing here, I think he's going to get the Chicago Bears to the playoffs this year. I think Caleb's going to have that kind of year in Chicago. And then with Dallas Turner, going back and forth between him and Laiatu Latu, but Dallas Turner being in Brian Flores' defense, I think they're going to tell that kid to pin his ears back and get after the quarterback. You saw what Daniil Hunter was able to do last year in Minnesota with not having a counterpart. And, I'm not saying Dallas Turner is going to have an immediate impact like that, but if you're a good pass rusher in a Brian Flores system, you're going to flourish. And so I just think that's what Dallas is going to do.
All righty. There's nothing else I have to complain about. I like your list as a whole. I want to get into my playoff predictions. I want to get to my top 7 on both sides. Are you guys ready for that?
Absolutely.
All right. So we want to start AFC or we want to start NFC?
Up to you. I'm ready with both.
I say we start with the AFC and save the better conference for last.
Oh, yuck.
I'm an Eagles fan. That was a homer comment. I did not mean that at all. There's 2 good quarterbacks in the NFC. But we'll start with the AFC just for fun. I think I'll start the AFC because I'll go first on this one. I have such a fun AFC bracket with one of the boldest predictions you will ever see. Okay? Is that fair? My number 1 seed, I'm staying very, very chalk here. I like the Baltimore Ravens to be the number 1 seed. I think their offense is going to move the football. I think their defense is going to be incredible. I have the Baltimore Ravens as my number 1 overall seed. My number 2 seed in the AFC, let's stay in chalk. I like the Kansas City Chiefs. I think they're going to roll through that AFC West. My 3 seed, you know where I'm going here. You heard my Super Bowl prediction. I got the New York Jets. I got the Jets in the 3 seed, and in the number 4 seed in the AFC South, I have the Jacksonville Jaguars. Give me Doug Peterson. Give me Trevor Lawrence. I am bought in. I'll take it. with the number 5 seed, no one circles the wagon like the Buffalo Bills. I changed this. Recently, I did not have Buffalo as high as 5. This is my final projection. I got Buffalo number 5. Number 6 in the AFC, I got the Houston Texans. I think they'll still compete for the division. I think they'll still be good. I think they go under the win total. I think they're the 6th seed at 9-8, and I think that's where they land. And the 7th seed at 9-8. Is it the Bengals? Is it the Browns? Is it any? No, it's not. It's none of them. Give me the Las Vegas Raiders. I got Antonio Pierce, Gardner Minshew, and Devontae Adams sneaking in the playoffs. Give me Minshew Mania. Give me the Raiders at the 7th seed. I'm fired up, baby.
That is a lot of
hoopla.
Interesting.
A lot of
interesting.
I love it. Minshew Mania. Buy in. They're all bought into Antonio Pierce. And Danny keeps booing me. I ain't got their Dolphins. They're soft. The end of their schedule is soft.
Bill, you want me to go next? You want to go next?
I'll go. Number 1 seed for me, I have the Kansas City Chiefs. Just like Gene said, I think they're going to beat up on a down AFC West. I do not have the Raiders making the playoffs. I think all 3 teams in the West, besides KC, are I just think they're all a year away at least. I think KC probably goes 6-0 through that division. They're going to be the number 1 overall seed. Number 2 for me, I have the New York Jets. I think as long as they can keep Aaron Rodgers upright with that defense, with what he's going to do with the offense, Breece Hall, Garrett Wilson, assuming Mike Wilson and his legs stay together, or Mike Williams, excuse me. I think the Jets are one of the best all-around put-together football teams in the NFL. Number 3 of the Houston Texans. I think they're going to win the South. I said it last year. I think they're the best team in the South. They've only gotten better. Defense is getting better. They're the best quarterback in the South. My 4 seed, Cleveland Browns. I think they're going to come out of the, debatably, one of the hardest divisions, if not the hardest division in football. I like their defense. I think we finally see a little bit kind of an old school Deshaun Watson, with Amari Cooper and Jerry Jeudy now. I think as long as Jerome Ford can be successful running the ball until Chubb gets back, they can rely on that defense a little bit. I think Cleveland comes out of that division. Wild card for me, number 1, Baltimore Ravens. I think they're going to fight tooth and nail with Cleveland down the stretch. I think they're a very good football team. 6 for me, I got the Miami Dolphins. I think they're the 2nd team to come out of the East. I think they just have too much firepower. I think I think we don't give them enough credence. I think they did fold a little bit down the stretch last year. The amount of injuries they had were just devastating, though. I think if they don't run into that luck again, I think they sneak into the playoffs. Last but not least, I'm going to go with the Colts. I think they have a good enough defense to keep them abroad. Jonathan Taylor stays healthy. Anthony Richardson, as long as he doesn't throw the ball over the bench, I think they'll be able to move the ball well enough to get in the playoffs.
All right, so number 1 for me, got the Kansas City Chiefs. I think they're going to be the best team in football. Patrick Mahomes is going to be absolutely incredible. Number 2, I got the Houston Texans. I think they win the South. I think C.J. Stroud is going to be primed for another great year. And I love what the Texans have added defensively as well. Getting Danielle Hunter, getting Autry. No, he's suspended for first few games. I think they're going to be phenomenal on both sides of the ball. Number 3, last year I was all over the Ravens. This year I like the Browns to win the division. I don't think since we've done this show I've ever picked the Browns to win the division. I like the Browns win the division this year. I just think what they have on defense and what they have on offense, I think you're going to get Deshaun Watson fully healthy this year. I think they're going to take over the AFC North. And then my 4 seed, I got the New York Jets. Aaron Rodgers being back, clearly the one thing they were lacking last year was a quarterback. I think that Jets team is going to be a tough out. Number 5, got the Baltimore Ravens. Couldn't disrespect them too much. I still think the Ravens are going to have an incredible year this year. Just don't think they ultimately win the division. Number 6, I have the Miami Dolphins. I think they win a lot of games early in the year. As it gets colder and as they start to travel different places, they kind of tail off. But I think that the hot start to the year kind of just lets them coast into the playoffs. And then number 7, I love how we all have a different 7th seed going to the playoffs. I'm rolling with Joe Burrow and company to get it done with that team. I think Joe Burrow is too good of a quarterback to not have his team in the playoffs. And I know the AFC North is loaded, but if Joe Burrow's playing 17 games, I trust him more than anybody to get his team to the playoffs. Baltimore Ravens.
Okay, thank you. I just make sure I didn't miss that. Sorry. Hey, I came prepared. I don't know why. I kind of felt like this was going to happen. So I just want to share something on the screen. This is the last time each team has won the division. Can you guys see that? You see that on your screen? See the Cleveland Browns down here in 1989?
So did no one win the division in 22 or 23? Like, I'm confused. What are you?
That's the last time each team has won a divion. It's probably a little bit old graphic. But
yeah, so you didn't come prepared. You just found some old shit and just brought it in here.
Well, no, hold on.
Prepared would have had 2023 on it.
Browns win in 2023?
That's not my point. Prepared would have had 2023.
When was the last time the Cleveland Browns won the division?
1989.
Okay. History is not going to change. You are going to go the rest of your life with the Cleveland Browns never winning the division. You know that they never won the division while you've been alive?
Gene, do you know that you went the same amount of years watching the Eagles not win a Super Bowl, and as old as I am right now, like, let's not forget you were in the same boat not too long ago, my friend. 7 years ago, you still weren't. I'm aware.
Playoff relevant one since I've been an adult.
I'm aware, but I've seen the Browns win playoff games here. Like, let's not do that either.
It's fair. Let's move over to the NFC. Let's go exact reverse order. Start us off, Cottrell. Give us your NFC. Let me hear your haterade.
So number 1 seed, I got the best team in the NFC, and that's going to be the San Francisco 49ers. Just think they're loaded. They've figured out everybody on their roster, and they've gotten them all paid. Trent Williamson, it took Ricky Pearsall getting shot for him to come out and say, hey, you know what? Maybe football is important. I should go be there for my team and try to protect my guys. So Trent's back in camp. Brandon Ayuk's gotten paid. Defense is still going to be phenomenal there. So love the 49ers to capture that 1 seed. Number 2, got the winners of the NFC East this year. Last year, I was over the Cowboys. Telling you this year, Philadelphia Eagles are going to win the NFC East. Team is way too talented, and what they brought in with the 2 coordinators, I think the Eagles are going to be primed for a phenomenal run. Number 3 seed, got the Detroit Lions winning the NFC North. I think that team is last year. The one thing they were lacking was corners. They went out and got 3 of them to figure out, hey, one or 2 of you guys are going to have to get it done. I love what the Lions did this offseason. I think Dan Campbell's going to have those guys ready to go. And then winning the NFC South. Andre, I hope you're still here. I have the Atlanta Falcons. I think that the Falcons are the most complete team in the division. Everybody else is still trying to figure it out. And I love probably Atlanta's coached the most in Raheem Morris. So I like the Falcons there. In my wild card slots, number 5, I have the Green Bay Packers. I think they're going to build off of what they had last year. Jordan Love is kind of overrated as I think he is compared to his contract. I still think he's a solid quarterback, and I liked what I saw from him in the playoffs. So I think they take care of business there. Number 6, very begrudgingly, I have the Dallas Cowboys. I think the Cowboys are a team that could potentially be number 5, I guess. I could have moved them a spot up, but to be honest, I really don't think this Cowboys team has enough to make the playoffs here. I just think with Micah and Dak and CD, I think they're going to find ways to win games that they really shouldn't and just kind of sneak into the playoffs there. And then number 7 for me, I said it earlier when I was doing my QB breakdown, I like Caleb Williams lead the Chicago Bears to the playoffs as a wild card as the 7th seed.
All right, so I have 6 of the same 7 as Cottrell again, same as the AFC. Number 1 overall seed, I have the 49ers. I think they finished 1 game better than the Eagles. I think they're going to I just like their depth a little bit more. I think their defense is a little bit more of a sure thing. Could change once we finally see the Eagles take the field, but right now, as much as I believe in Vic Fangio, I do think it's going to take a couple games for them to kind of really get up to speed and get into his defense. So I think San Francisco wins the conference by 1 game. Obviously, the Philadelphia Eagles, number 2. I think they're the best team in the division by far. Dallas fans can say what they want. I don't think they're close to Philly. I don't. Number 3 seed, I have the Detroit Lions as well. I think they win a very tough AFC or NFC North this year. That team is just continuing to trend in the right direction. They're drafting better now. Everybody's fully on board with that Dan Campbell, toughness. They're just a really good football team. NFC South, I have the Atlanta Falcons as well. I think they're the most complete team. They finally got a quarterback to use all these, utilize all these weapons. Drake London, obviously Kyle Pitts, no more Desmond Ridder. And the defense continues to improve. I think Atlanta's a sneaky good team. They come home with the 4 seed for me. Wild card number 1, I have the Cowboys. I don't think they're great. I think they're going to finish in the 5th seed simply because the Giants are going to suck. Washington's not going to be much better. I think everybody's going to be able to pick up easier games in the NFC East this year. I have Dallas number 5. Green Bay number 6. I think they're the second team from the North to get in. I think if you listen to the show a lot, the last couple of years, I think that defense, as long as they can stay healthy this year, is really going to help Jordan Love. So I think they're a little bit more of a complete team as long as Jair Alexander and all those guys can stay on the field. I like Green Bay to make the playoffs. Number 7, I did not go with the Bears. It was between the Bears and this team. Those were my last 2 teams that I came down to. I'm going to go with the Rams. I think Matt Stafford being fully healthy, Cooper Kupp being back fully healthy this year, Puka Nacua, who just absolutely burst onto the scene last year. You just say his name, it makes you happier. And that defense, I think, played a little bit above their heads last year. Everybody healthy. Kyron Williams, we already talked about. Blake Corum behind him. I think they're a team that's kind of flying under the radar. I don't think Seattle's going to be great. Arizona, I think, is going to be better than they were last year, but I like the Rams to come out and steal the 7 seed.
My NFC playoff picture is wild. It is absolutely silly, but there's a reason for it. My number 1 seed in the NFC is the San Francisco 49ers. I think that as a whole, out of the big 3 teams between Philadelphia, Detroit, and San Francisco, I think they have the easiest of the 3 divisions. But I have the San Francisco 49ers finishing as the 1 seed. I think they'll trailblaze through the regular season. I think they win 13 games. They have almost everybody returning. I think the 49ers will be just fine. My number 2 seed in the NFC, I have the Philadelphia Eagles. I have the Eagles being the 2 seed because of all the weapons they have. Kellen Moore, Vic Fangio. I think that whole team as a whole is going to be improved by the coaching, offensive and defensive coordinators. My 3 seed in the NFC, I have the Atlanta Falcons. The Atlanta Falcons are going to be favored in every game this year except 3. It's absolutely insane what you put ahead of them with their schedule. You add Kirk Cousins to a team that just had no quarterback last year. They went out and they got a good safety in Justin Simmons. They got themselves an edge rusher in New England.
Matthew
Judon. I think that, and you have a defensive-minded coach in Raheem Morris with Bijan Robinson, who's going to run the football a ton. Thunder and Lightning. They already have the offensive line. I think the Falcons could press for the 2 seed. The 4 seed, I do have the Detroit Lions. And Detroit Lions fans, before you beat me up, hear me out. I will get there. The 5 seed, I think the NFC North is going to be brutal. The 5 seed in the NFC playoffs, I have the Chicago Bears. I think the Chicago Bears defense was incredible at the end of last year. You had Caleb Williams, Keenan Allen, Roma Dunze. They put more pieces on that offensive line to protect Caleb Williams. I think the Bears come out and absolutely play great football this year. I want to eat my words on Matt Eberflus. That defense looked great the moment they made that Montez Sweat trade. They got a pass rush, and that team looked good. The 6th seed in the NFC. Where am I going? I'm not going Dallas, I'll tell you that. I got the Green Bay Packers. I think 3 teams from the NFC North make the playoffs in the 4, 5, and 6 seeds. I think they all beat each other up. And it's not a bad thing. I just think they're all going to be close in records. They're going to split home and homes, and you're going to get a lot more losses in that situation than you normally would. And then in the 7 seed, is it Dallas? No, it's not Dallas. Give me Cooper Kupp Puka Nacua, Matthew Stafford, and get those stinking Cowboys out of my goddamn playoffs. Get Dak Prescott out of Dallas. I'm done with Dallas. They stink. And they're going to lose week 1 to Cleveland, too. Book it. I'm done. That's a little wild, right?
I mean, I told you how I felt about the Cowboys. I had them in at 6, and I really didn't love putting them there. I just think with the Rams, as good as their defense kind of surprised me like last year, I think them losing Aaron Donald and not replacing him with like a disruptive pass rush. Obviously, Darren Donalds don't grow on trees, but just not replacing like any of his production there just kind of gave me a little cause to pause.
I hear you. And trust me when I tell you, if you if you said, listen, $1 million, is it the Rams going to make it or the Cowboys going to make it? I might change my pick. But we don't have $1 million on it. So I'm giving my projection the way I want to see it. And I want to see Stafford to Kupp and Nacua. And I want to see the combination. And guys, listen, if you're fantasy and you didn't do your draft yet, make sure you get yourself some Blake Corum. I think that starting job's his by week 6. Book it, whether Kyron Williams gets hurt or he just loses the job. They already say he's going to be the punt returner. That's a little weird. It's a little weird.
Blake Corum's a kick returner.
It's a little weird.
That's also weird.
It's really weird.
I do
there's no bigger Blake fan in the world than me. That's just weird.
That Blake's the kick returner and that Kyron's the punt returner.
Yeah, I just don't know why you would put both your starting running backs out there. Just strange.
Trying to steal
for anything.
Yeah.
I guess.
You know the funny thing is though, if you look at the Rams the last 4 years, who you thought was going to be their starting running back and who happened to be their starting running back has been different from week 1. Last year it was Cam Akers. A couple years ago it was Darrell Henderson. A couple years ago, Sony Michel. A couple years ago.
Why that was the case though?
Tell me why.
Because Cam Akers never panned out. Like he was supposed to be the guy there. Like, I mean, they basically gave him the keys after Todd Gurley retired early, and he just never proved to be that guy.
They basically pushed him out. They're like, you stink. You're not playing anymore.
Yeah.
Go over to Atlanta.
So it's Cam Akers' fault.
It is Cam Akers' fault. Everything is that guy's fault. Screw that guy. 2 years in a row. 2 years in a row. 2 years in a row.
You could say that, but you won both fantasy leagues that you were in with me last year.
Last year was he burned me way more 2 years ago than he did last year. Last year, I made a trade that just kind of didn't matter. I just got rid of him anyway. And because I ended up picking up Kyron Williams.
There you go. Worked out for you. Let's give our Super Bowl predictions. You want me to go first?
Go? I don't know.
I'll go first. I think I've already given this out multiple times. I'm staying with it. Lions fans, you hated me 5 minutes ago. You might love me right now. I have the Detroit Lions representing the NFC, winning 2 road playoff games, getting to the NFC Championship game and winning. I have the Lions going up against the New York Football Jets. Aaron Rodgers stays healthy. The Jets defense is unreal. They have the best secondary in the NFL. You got Quinton Williams. You got Quentin Williams. They're all really good. I think the New York Jets defense. Last year, you looked at Jets team and you said if they had a competent quarterback, they could be a Super Bowl team. This year, I think Aaron Rodgers stays healthy. Give me Jets over Lions in the Super Bowl.
Me or you, Cottrell?
I'll go because I'm kind of heartbroken about it because I've did it based on my seedings here, how I would pick each game moving forward. In the AFC, like the Browns to go. I don't like them to win though.
Oh God!
Because in the NFC,
if you're gonna pick the Browns to go to the Super Bowl, just pick them to win at this point.
No. Because at this point, this feels like, again, this is another comparison to basketball here. I'm going with the Boston Celtics of the NFL. I got the San Francisco 49ers to take care of business this year and win a Super Bowl. They get there. It feels like every single year they get close. They don't get it done. This happens. That happens. Kyle Shanahan chokes. That happens. Well, this year I got them getting it done in the Super Bowl. I think that with what they all brought back and them having Ayuk got paid and Trent being there, and I think the defense is still in good shape, and they get Hufanga back this year, which I think is going to be huge for him. I think this San Francisco team wins the Super Bowl.
You have 49ers over Browns. I got Jets over Lions.
So, conference final for me in the AFC. I actually have the Cleveland Browns shocking the world and going into Kansas City and knocking out the Chiefs to get to the AFC final, AFC Conference Championship game. There, they will meet Mr. Aaron Rodgers and the New York Jets. And there, unfortunately, is where I think the Cinderella ride ends for the Cleveland Browns. I have Mr. Rodgers going to the Super Bowl against, unfortunately, I think San Francisco is just probably a possession better than the Eagles. I have the 49ers over the Eagles in the NFC Championship game. I got San Fran versus New York in the Super Bowl. I got San Fran, if you will, finishing the story. Close last year. I think they take care of business this year and they get it done. I think the 49ers are your Super Bowl champions.
I forgot Alex was a 49ers fan. All right, so I got to take back like everything I said about them at this point. I think I'm rolling with the Lions. Lions win the Super Bowl. Lions over Browns. The tailgate of the millennium at this point between Lions fans and Browns fans in New Orleans.
Alex choosing just violence. Jets don't stink.
They definitely don't stink.
You can say they don't stink.
I say we get our trivia done before we do our preview so we can spend some time on previews, and then we'll get into college football. We good there?
Yeah, sounds good to me.
Little break. I like it.
Look, we did a lot of NFL so far, so I'm good with it regardless.
With more to come.
More to come. It's a full NFL slate.
Just a pigskin show.
I'm with it. We can call it pigskin show. So we can call it.
There you go. All right, gentlemen. My completely deserved week off.
You definitely deserved it. Hold on. Let me put the thing up.
I was going to say, you got to throw it up.
I got cheated in the messages, but it's fine.
I'm telling you right now, I swear to God, I had no idea what Puerto Rico meant.
Listen, we all watch the show. We know what happened. It's fine. Listen.
Oh, God, stop it.
That's what it takes. That's what it takes. I understand.
Well, it's me versus Gene this week, so it's no phone gate.
All right.
No he said you ain't got no nipples. Here's my phone.
If you're listening, do not put anything in the messages until we're done.
I mean, they could put.
Or they can strike it. All right, fine.
I don't care what they do because it could be the wrong answer. And if you give a non-Googleable question, it doesn't matter.
You let anybody sit at home, they're going to Google it. They'll find it eventually within like 2 minutes.
I guess that's fair. The one guy, I went back and looked at, the one guy gave he had to Google the list because he gave like a bunch of the answers.
That's what I'm saying.
But that's fair. All right. Fine. I'm fine either way.
Here we go.
Okay.
We're going to baseball.
Oh, God. Here we go.
We're going to baseball, and it's active. So everybody's on an even plane here.
Okay.
All right. Top 10 active batting average leaders. They have to have a minimum of 3,000 plate appearances.
Jesus Christ.
So this is nobody that's been in the league for like 2 years and just been like, oh, I had 2 good years. They are not on this list.
I mean, okay, that's fair.
Gene knocked me off / cheated last week, so he can go. Well, you choose. You want to go first or second?
I'll go first because I feel like this is the category in which you chose to highlight one of your favorite players. So I'm just going to get rid of him right away. Mike Trout.
Okay, he's number 3.
Yeah. Oh, he's not number 1?
No.
I'm shocked already.
All right. I'll go with
I'll be honest with you. Like, I'm not going to say what his average is at, but I wasn't even sure he was going to be on this list. I was actually shocked he was as high as he was.
Really?
Yes.
Yeah. That's what does he not have a career over 300 batting average?
Nope.
No.
That is interesting. I would have picked.
It's
Maybe I just
$299.
have a higher view of him than you do.
Oh, I thought he was slightly less than that too. I thought he'd be like $290, but
Yeah, it's $299.
I'll go with Mookie Betts.
Mookie Betts is number 5.
Oh shit.
I have 2 guarantees. I'm just trying to figure out which one I don't think Cottrell will use. No, I want to like. All right, this is an easy one. I'll go Jose Altuve. He's got to be up there.
Altuve is number 1.
Yeah, there's no shock to me. There's one more guarantee I have, and then I got to start really digging into the bag.
I'm trying to think here. Who?
A guarantee. I have another guarantee. And then after that, I'm just bag dipping.
I'll go with I think I got one that's a guarantee here. I'll go with Freddie Freeman.
God damn it. That was my other guarantee.
Freddie Freeman is number 2.
Yeah, there's no doubt in my mind.
He's a tenth of a point higher than Trout.
God damn it. Now I'm stuck. I'm not stuck, but give me a second.
There is we're getting into the tricky ones now. They're all I will say this, they're all popular names, but you're gonna have to dig a little bit to get them.
See, here's the thing, right? I don't know if he has 3,000 at bats. You said 3,000, not 3,000 at bats. Is that right?
Plate
He
appearances.
does plate appearances.
I don't know if he's there. I know he's had a high batting average his whole career, but he's only played like 7 years.
Well, I will tell you that if you're an everyday starter, you're between 500 and 600 at bats a year.
Okay, so 8 years. All right, Trey Turner.
Trey Turner is number 4.
Okay. I was worried about his plate appearances. I swear to you. I'm not like, I don't know how many plate appearances in a year.
He's at, before this year, he's at 4,800. So,
Oh my gosh, it's not close. So that actually helps me. That helps me a lot. That makes sense.
So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5.
We scraped out the top 5.
Interesting.
All right. So I have one. I don't know if he's there yet. Let's see where else we can go here. Let's go over on that side. Screw it. I'll throw him out there. Carlos Correa.
That is strike number 1. He's not even in the top 25.
Oh shit.
Do I stay at the Astros? I think there's another Astro on this list. I'm like stuck in that division right now.
So it's what, 3-2? 3-2 and Cottrell third strike.
Yes.
Give me Alex Bregman.
Strike number 1 for Gene.
Where's he at? He's got to be close.
Alex Bregman is probably like a 250 career hitter, bro.
Really?
Yep.
Okay. I'm wrong.
He hits a lot of home runs.
Oh!
I'm kind of
I got one.
upset that she answered so fast.
I'm sorry.
I'll go with Nolan Arenado.
That is strike number 2. He is number 20 on the list.
I know exactly. I know one. My favorite player. My favorite player. He's on there.
You got to say it.
Corey Seager.
Is number 7.
My favorite player is hilarious.
It's my favorite player. That's not a Philly. I think I'm stuck. I think I'm done.
All right, so it's 4-2. I'm on my last strike though, so
No, we're doing strikes. Why don't we get to 5? That's the move, right? We go to get to 5.
Okay, fine, go.
Yeah, I don't want to strike out Cottrell. He's a great guy.
There's a tie. There's a tie for 10, so there's technically 5 answers left.
all right, so I'll just throw it out there just because I don't know where he's at. I would go Aaron Judge.
I don't think he's with the plate appearances.
He does. He's number 14.
Ooh. So, all right, if Aaron Judge has the plate appearances, that helps me. All right, so does Luis Arraez have the plate appearances? I'll go Luis Arraez.
I feel like he would have to be in the top.
He
5.
is no, he doesn't.
He doesn't have the plate appearances.
I was gonna say he would have to be in the top 5 if he did.
You know what? I probably should have thought about that before I answered and gave a wrong answer. So screw you, Control, okay? But you're right. You're right. He would be in the top 5.
All right. So
I shouldn't have did that. Maybe you like started really bad and like the last few years, like put him in the top. I don't
came
know,
out of nowhere.
bro. What?
I said just came out of nowhere. It was just him. 299 has you at there. I throw him out. Jose Ramirez.
That's it. That's one.
He is not on the list.
Oh my God. Where am I missing? Can you throw out any hints?
No, don't throw out the hints. What numbers are we at? What numbers we got left?
You need number 6, which is not an easy one. 7 was Corey Seager. We got 8. 8, I'm not even gonna lie. 8, I was shocked. Like 8 is by far the toughest person on here. 9.
What's Corey Seager? What's Corey Seager's average?
291.
Okay.
How many of these would you have got?
I'm not gonna lie. I would have struggled with 6. 8, I don't think I would have got. 9 and the 2 ties for 10, I think are very gettable. You just kind of have to think. I like the one hint for 10 is hilarious, and if I give it, you'll both get it in a heartbeat. So I'm not going to say anything.
All right, so I've kind of I kept asking you questions to try to think.
I got it. I think I got one.
I was stalling for time there. I still don't think I have a guy. Hold on.
I think I got one.
How much time I got left? Give me like 15 more seconds.
15 seconds starting now. 5 seconds.
He just won an MVP. Give me Goldschmidt.
Goldschmidt is tied for 10.
Oh! Is that 5 or is that 4?
It's 5, and there's 1, 2, 3, 4 left.
Okay, so he can catch up. All right, I got it.
He can technically still win if he gets them all.
That's why I said catch up.
Manny Machado.
It's a good guess.
I don't know if Manny's even in the top 25.
That's a good guess, though.
He is not.
I guess it's not a good guess.
Well,
it's wild. Like, it's wild. Some of the like who's 18 on this list is nuts. Like who's 23 is nuts. Like it's guys you guys probably aren't thinking of, but they actually do have enough plate appearances. Their averages just aren't as high as you think.
Okay, Shohei Ohtani.
Nope.
Acuna.
He is number 12.
That's a good one. Shohei not plate appearances?
Nah, he hasn't had enough yet. Nah.
Okay. That's where I was at.
Devers.
That's a good one.
Nope, he's not in the top 25 either.
Then give me Xander. If Devers isn't, Xander's got to be there.
Xander's there. That's the ironic one. That was
funny. As soon as he said Devers, I thought Xander.
Devers at 289. He's tied for 10 with Goldschmidt.
Devers is at 289?
No, Xander is.
Oh, Xander. Okay, so I have both 10s. That should only count as one anyway. But I got it. Let's go. Who's the other?
Yeah, I'm curious.
Number 6 was a tough one. If you would have got to the division, you probably would have got there. Number 6 is Charlie Blackmon.
I would never got that. 0.
Me neither.
292. Number 8 is one I never would have got. 8 is definitely the one I would say for sure I never would have picked up. And he's just qualified with plate appearances. Jeff McNeil from the Mets is 289.
Would have never got that either.
I wouldn't have got that. I might have got that actually because Adrian.
And number 9 is DJ LeMahieu.
Definitely wouldn't have got that either.
I wouldn't have got that either.
It's a shame too because he's still 289 for a career. If he hasn't been to 220s like the last 3 years, he's probably number 1 on this list.
Thank you, Mike. Who was the obvious one, Alex? What did we miss? I want to know who the obvious one was. I don't know
Like,
who the obvious.
Like Soto's 18th on the list.
You know what's funny? I should have said Soto. I would have said
He never
Soto.
even crossed my mind for whatever reason.
Oh, when you said Judge, I don't know why I didn't go Soto. That should have been an easy one.
Harper's 23rd. Guess who Harper's tied with?
Who?
Ex-Philly, actually. He was here for like 2 years. Jean Segura.
Oh, okay, that makes sense.
Arenado's 20. Justin Turner's 19. Sterling Marte is 17th.
That's a good one.
Yandy Diaz and Yelich are tied for 15th.
Is Jordan close?
No, not the top 25. Vlad Guerrero Jr. is 13th.
Wow, Vladdy. I didn't think he had the plate appearances.
Me neither.
They all barely made it.
All right, well, next week, it's back to Cottrell and given the question. I feel like you give baseball, me and Cottrell, I don't say it's not fair, but I know a little bit more about baseball. He knows a little bit more about college football. I feel like the next time you do one, you should kind of give him college football.
See, I think that's a big advantage to him.
You don't think baseball is a big advantage for me?
That's why I did it current, though. I did all like I wasn't like, hey, there's gonna be like a bunch of guys from the 60s on here. Like,
dude, if you go to the 60s, 70s, I can compete with you. But I probably wouldn't be as good, but I can compete in the 60s and 70s. My dad, I grew up on that shit.
I agree, but my point is that's why I made it all current guys. Like, everybody on that list, Cottrell knows who he is.
Makes sense. All right, well, let's get into previewing some NFL games, gentlemen. We got to start Thursday night. We got to start Ravens Chiefs. I'll make something very clear to you guys. John Harbaugh is 10-2 on opening day. His teams are super prepared. That's why they always play hard in the preseason. They are not a team that comes out the gate struggling. If you want to talk about a team that needs this win more, Baltimore needs this win more. This feels to me like last year where the Lions just needed to win more to propel their season, and the Chiefs didn't. And I'm not saying there's the Super Bowl exhale. I'm not. But what I am saying is that Baltimore's going to come into this game in full revenge mode, fired up, and they got to prove to themselves that they can do it again. The Chiefs don't have to prove anything to anybody. Also, they're working in a lot of new pieces. Rashee Rice and Travis Kelce are obviously there. Juju just got there. I don't know if he'll suit. He might suit. Sky Moore has been a disappointment. Xavier Worthy's a rookie. You're going to see a lot of weird who's who in the Chiefs wide receiving core. Hollywood's not going to play. So, I really think this is a game in which the Ravens just need more. And I think that defense comes out. And I think it's a lot more low scoring than people think it will be. I like the Ravens in this one. I think they'll win the game 23-13. And I think it'll be a lot more low scoring than people think it will be.
So, I mean, I do think that the Chiefs will have to figure some stuff out early. It's actually funny that you brought up John Harbaugh's stats in his, opening games, because I actually had one to combat that, which was Andy Reid's been 8-1 since he's joined the Chiefs in 2013 in his season opening games, with that one loss being against the Detroit Lions last season. And even that game, I mean, it felt like the Lions were in firm control the entire game, but then it got late. And Patrick Mahomes was a couple Kadarius Toney's drops from going out and still winning that game. And last I checked, Kadarius Toney actually was on the cut sheet, a couple weeks ago. So I think the Chiefs will ultimately figure it out. I think this game is tight, and I do think you could see, even maybe something similar where the Ravens start out fast, but just like I talked about when we were talking about Roquan Smith and then bringing in Derrick Henry, I think. It gets in that fourth quarter and those guys get tired and they don't rush the pass the same way they did in the first half. And the offense doesn't look as explosive as they did in that first half. And I think that's where Kansas City pounces. I think it's going to be somewhat of a lower scoring game, but ultimately I like Kansas City to win off of a walk-off field goal. I'm going with 24-23 Kansas City's way. And I think it's a Patrick Mahomes-led drive to ultimately close it out for the Chiefs.
I'm going to go with Gene on this one. I think this looks eerily similar to Kansas City opening up at home against Detroit last year. I think they're going to get their rings. I think they're going to go through all that thing. And I agree with Gene. I think Baltimore's going to come in prepared, hard-nosed. I think they have something to prove. Kansas City, for the most part, too, I feel like they're not strong starters. I think they're great closers, and I think that's what makes them great. I think they struggled through the first part of last season, and we listened to people over and over, ready to write them off. Then all of a sudden, it was like bang, 6-game winning streak, and then it was bang in the playoffs, start smoking everybody. Patrick Mahomes looks like Patrick Mahomes. Not saying I'll be shocked if Kansas City wins, but I agree with Gene. I think Baltimore goes in and ekes one out. I don't think there's any kind of pressure on Baltimore whatsoever. I don't think there's going to be any pressing from Kansas City either. I don't think it's going to be a bunch of, doom or gloom if they lose either. So I think Baltimore will just look a little bit better and a little bit more like the hungry team on Thursday night. So I will go Baltimore as well.
It'll be an interesting game to say the least. If I was a betting man, I would tell you Ravens in the under is the move. And if you get them plus 3.5, I think that's even almost too easy. But just my opinion.
I do like the Ravens to cover. I do think if the Chiefs win, it's going to be walk-off field goal fashion. So definitely think they can cover 3.5.
I do want to get into the next game, and I don't want to be crazy about this because it's not an Eagle show. But I want to talk about the NFL in Brazil. And I want to talk about the fact that they're doing the Sao Paulo game and how many players have been outspoken about not wanting to go there, the safety regulations, not allowed to walk around, not allowed to leave their hotel. It's nothing like London due to safety precautions. Neither team is allowed to wear green. That's a kind of real weird thing. You schedule 2 green teams down there for opening week. Before we get into the game, what are your thoughts on the Sao Paulo Brazil game?
Good.
I was going to say, for me, I think it's, I understand the NFL is trying to grow the game and things like that. But if, you're talking about an NFL game and player safety off the field is, the biggest concern or one of the biggest headlines going into it, I think that means you're doing something wrong. Not to say the fans of Brazil shouldn't be allowed to see NFL football or things like that, but it just seems like right now wouldn't be the right time to play a game there. If these players have to go there and they don't feel safe or they can't wear certain colors and things like that, I feel like that's not what we should be talking about when it comes to NFL. So I think the NFL has done a great job of trying to grow the game. We've seen them in Germany. We've seen them in London. We've seen them, Mexico City. We've seen games really all over. I just feel like right now with all that's going on in Brazil, if this is the biggest concern, maybe this wasn't the right time to send those guys there.
I'm going to echo exactly what Cottrell said. I think the headlines too often have been about what's wrong with this trip and not what's right with this trip. I'm not really even a fan of the England games, but at least I understand it. And, if you're going to look 10, 12, 15 years down the road, I understand what they're trying to get to there. We are never putting an NFL division in Brazil or South America. That is so far down the pipeline. I don't think it ever happens. I think if you wanted to have a one-off kind of special edition, move the game, do whatever you want to do thing, I think there's a lot of other places you could have picked before Brazil. I know the teams weren't really happy with Mexico last year, but they had more freedom there. I don't know how your answer to that is like you guys both said, let's go to Brazil where you guys are going to be stuck in your hotel the whole time. You're going to do your walkthroughs through, ballrooms, and then you're going to go to the field, play, and then you're going to leave. It's not right for the players either. I've seen a bunch of Eagles. I haven't kept up on the Green Bay side of it, but, there's a bunch of Eagles that have been outspoken about it, about not going. Darius Slay was pretty much made to apologize after he spoke his mind on it the other day. He was very, very open and honest about it. He's making sure his family does not go. And then on top of that, green, like you guys both said, green's like the big major gang color, in Brazil. And you picked the 2 teams where their predominant color is green. Nobody at any point just stopped and was like, hey, maybe we shouldn't do this. I just feel like Brazil just was not the pick here. I feel like you could have put the game somewhere else if you really wanted to have a one-off thing and made it, way more of a special viewing and made it more of a big deal for the players. That's the one thing the players do talk about when they get to go to Europe. Like, a lot of those guys have never been to London. They've never been, around the city, and they get to enjoy and experience all that. This is like a high school game for these guys. You're making them go and stay in the hotel and then go play and then go home. Like, it's just not a good look for the NFL, in my opinion.
I'm with you. And now apparently the rumors about the green thing isn't like completely true, but the Eagles completely ditched green. They're wearing black and white, where the Packers are wearing a dark green. So I guess you can, like, maybe it's a light green that you're not allowed to wear, but there a lot of rumors back and forth about the not wearing green apparently is a rumor, but I don't know why the Eagles would completely give up the color if it was just a rumor. But I'll start
going dark green versus black.
The Eagles are wearing black and white.
Yeah, no. The Eagles, and they're wearing black helmets, I believe, as well,
yeah,
right?
Black helmets and white.
Yeah, but I'm
they're
saying
not wearing any green.
The Packers are wearing
dark
green jerseys.
Dark green and yellow.
That is such. I'm surprised the NFL even allowed that. Like, that's such a. Why didn't they just have the Packers wear white and yellow?
Because the Eagles are wearing white.
You just said they're wearing black.
The Eagles are wearing white jerseys and black helmets and shoes.
Oh, I thought they were wearing black jerseys and black helmets and then white pants.
All white uniforms, black helmets, black shoes.
Oh, okay. So the Eagles are going all. Okay, that makes more sense.
And they are playing in an all natural grass soccer arena. So I'm hoping that these players love the all natural grass, which should be very interesting to see. I think the arena will be fun to watch a football game in. I'm just hoping there's not injuries. I'm hoping there's not the turf's not up to condition, the grass is not up to condition, or whatever that may be. We'll find out, obviously, if one of the Eagles players comes out of that game with a real bad injury. I'm going to be cursing it up and down. But let's talk about the football game. Yeah, I didn't say it was gang related, but yeah, you're right. It's a rival soccer team, and it leads to some violence because of it. That's the misconception. I've been to that area many times. Okay. That's great. I thought I didn't think it was gang related. I thought it was soccer, like sports related, but that's fair. But let's talk about the game as itself. Packers, Eagles. Devin White will not travel with the Philadelphia Eagles. He's out with an ankle injury. Nakobe Dean will get the start at middle linebacker, aside from Zach Baum. Eagles secondary looks like Isaiah Rodgers, Darius Slay, and Quinyon Mitchell will be their three with Gardner Johnson and Reed Blankenship in the secondary. I personally think the Philadelphia Eagles are an absolute hammer this football game. I think their offense, I think the Philadelphia Eagles are better than the Green Bay Packers at almost every level of the football field, whether it be wide receiver, running back, offensive line, quarterback. I think they're better, right? The argument could be made with the front seven of Green Bay over the front seven of Philadelphia, and I'm here to listen to that. But I'll say this. The Green Bay Packers style of defense has always been a bend but don't break, a sit, soft coverage defense, and that plays right into the Eagles' hands. What the Eagles had trouble with, and it'll be interesting to see what the Packers' game plan is. If I'm the Green Bay Packers, I'm running nickel, double mug, quarterback contain the entire game until the Philadelphia Eagles show that they can beat it. Nickel, double mug, quarterback contain. That worked against Philadelphia the last 6 games of the season. You've seen it ran by the Giants. You've seen it ran by the Cardinals. You've seen it ran by the Vikings. You've seen it ran by the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. If the Eagles can beat the blitz with motion and Kellen Moore can do that, I think the Eagles are an absolute lock in this game. I think they're better in everywhere on the football field. I love the Eagles in this football game. I have the Eagles winning this one 31-20. And I think that Saquon Barkley has a big game on the ground.
I like the Eagles as well. I agree with a lot of what you said. I think Green Bay is probably going to test Jalen early and see if anything's changed from last year. Like you said, I think they're going to pressure him, see if he audibles out or anything, or, just if he can get away from that complete freezing under, cover zero type thing. If he shows it right away, then I think the Eagles are fine. I think he'll settle in. Like you said, I think Kellen Moore We'll use motioning at guys open early, get him a couple easy throws, get him comfortable. And I think Saquon does his thing as well. I think said it a lot last year, especially beginning of the season. Keep it simple, stupid. Run the ball until they stop it, and then run play action off of it. You got a guy that can take the top off of Devonta. A.J. Brown can run any route anywhere on the field. Use Dallas Goedert. Use Saquon out of the backfield. Have longer drives. Keep that Green Bay offense off the field. Don't overthink it. I think we did that too much last year, way too much. You heard other players talk about it at the end of the year. They were just running stuff that they practically never practiced all year. And it just became, like Gene said, the last 6 games just became a disaster. I like the Eagles 24-20. I think it's a little bit of a closer game. But I agree with Gene. I think they're a better football team. I think they get it done.
The one question mark that I have with this game is, are the Eagles going to be able to stop the run? And at what point does that happen? Obviously, you guys know I love Jalen Carter. I'm going to be curious to see how much of an impact Jordan Davis is going to have on this game. And then with Devin White not being there, I'll be interested to see how they ultimately fill in the gaps there. And then obviously as well with Hassan Reddick no longer being there, I know Bryce Huff is a good pass rusher, but do you think it's a step down from where you're at last year with Hassan? So the defensive line is really going to be the one piece of that game that I'm really, really interested in, how they control the trenches there. And then, with Green Bay going out and bringing in Josh Jacobs, I think that's going to be really interesting for me to see as well. Like, how do they implement the run, and how often are they gonna run and things like that. With all that said, I still like the Eagles to win. I think they're going to be able to have a lot of explosive plays over there in Brazil. I think Saquon Barkley is going to be due for a big game. I know you're replacing Kelsey, but I think they're going to give the ball to Saquon Barkley and have him run behind that offensive line. And he's going to be running through gaps that he hasn't seen since he was at Penn State 4 or 5 years ago. So I like the Eagles. I like them to win. Pretty comfortable here. I think it's a 2-possession game. I'd say maybe I might even go 3 possession. I'll go 34-17. I think the Eagles, they take care of business. However, I do think early there will be a lot of question marks. I think the Packers have a lot of success running the ball, but then I think that Eagles defense keeps them out of the end zone. They're going to be chasing touchdowns with field goals, and then ultimately it's going to make Jordan Love pass the ball, and that's right where the Eagles will want them, I would say, with the secondary looking the way that they are.
Let's head into Sunday. We got a big game Sunday, the Cleveland Browns versus the Dallas Cowboys. Game is in Cleveland. And I want to make something clear when I say this, right? I'll give a full breakdown on it, but I think the Dallas Cowboys are walking into this situation in the worst possible time. CeeDee Lamb just signed his extension. I get it. He's eligible. He knows Dak Prescott. But you're coming off that playoff loss with a new defensive coordinator. I don't know if Dallas's defense is going to look as good with Mike Zimmer as it did with Dan Quinn. I don't. And they didn't do anything this offseason. And in fact, Deron Bland is hurt. He's out. So Trevon Diggs coming off an ACL. Deron Bland is out. They didn't use anything to replace on defense. They haven't replaced Stephon Gilmore, which was opposite of Deron Bland last year. I don't like the Cowboys at all in this football game. I think Cleveland's rushing attack runs the ball right up the middle. Jerome Ford, they use the big uglies, that offensive line, and with Amari Cooper in the Amari Cooper revenge game in the dog pound, I don't see how Dallas wins this football game. I love Cleveland in this spot. Love Cleveland in this spot. Myles Garrett going over Tyron Smith's old position. I hate that for Dallas. Dallas literally lost piece after piece and didn't replace any of them. And I love that as an Eagles fan, but I hate that if you're a Cowboys fan. I love Cleveland in this football game. I don't think it's close. I got the Browns in a blowout.
I'll go quick here so Cottrell can, with it being his team, can go. I agree with Gene. It's a combination of I love the spot for Cleveland, and on the other side, I hate the spot for Dallas. It's a double whammy for me. I don't think you're going to be able to beat Cleveland being one dimensional. Is Zeke RB1? Do we know what they're doing there? Gene already spoke on the offensive line issues they're having in Dallas. They're a year older, and it's just not what it was 5 years ago. 5 years ago when this was the best line in football. I mean, it's gone a long way since then. You got Dak, you got CD, who hasn't really been, practicing that much. Cook's hurt. And like he said, you got a defense that I think is going to struggle. I think Cleveland's going to throw weapons at them. You got Jerry Jeudy on the other side of Amari Cooper. Now you got a true wide receiver too. David Njoku over the middle. And Jerome Ford's going to be fine running the ball behind top 2, 3, maybe 1 offensive line in the league. I agree with Gene. I like Cleveland a ton. I think they get it done. I think Dallas kind of really starts the season on the wrong foot here.
They're starting a rookie 5th-round pick in Kalen Carson at opposite of Trevon Diggs. Trevon Diggs coming off the ACL, and then you have a 5th-round rookie out of Wake Forest.
Judy's going to eat.
I think Jeudy and Cooper eat. I really believe that. Cottrell, you got the Browns going to the Super Bowl. Tell us how badly you're going to beat the Cowboys Sunday.
Yeah, so I mean, I think the biggest thing for Dallas in this spot is that they don't have a rushing attack. I think that's the way you keep that Browns defense honest. When you can have their linebackers worried about the run, I think that is ultimately how you're going to have success against this Brown defense. And the Cowboys don't have that. It came out that Rico Dowdle is going to be their starting running back, and they expect him to play a ton, and they like him and things like that. But he's not anybody that scares you. And then you got Zeke there as well. And I just think that really plays into the Browns defense perfectly. And then on the outside, we know Dallas is going to want to throw the ball a ton. Well, that's the strength of this Browns defense, in my opinion, is their secondary. And we know the guys that can rush the passer with Za'Darius and, of course, Myles Garrett. But in the secondary, you're going to have Denzel Ward against CeeDee Lamb. Now, obviously, I think CeeDee Lamb is going to be, he has the advantage in that matchup. However, when you have safety help and Denzel is still going to be a great cover as well, Dak's not going to have a ton of time to get the ball out of his hands. So I just think this is a, perfect recipe for success for the Browns here. And I think the fun part about it is that this is going to be Tom Brady's first game in the booth. So definitely looking forward to hearing how he is up there. A little disappointed that the NFL basically came out and told him, like, hey, you can't get too crazy up there. We will have to potentially fine you or take you out the booth if you start saying too many crazy things, or if you start going to practice and things like that. But definitely interested to hear Tom Brady's view on the game and how he looks at everything there. But I do like the Browns to win this one as well. I don't necessarily think it's going to be a full-fledged blowout, but I like the Browns to win. I like the Browns to win rather comfy. I think it'll be a 10-point win for them. I'm going to go 31-21.
Well, let's move on to our last game. It's Monday Night Football. It's the New York Football Jets and the San Francisco 49ers. I'll go last on this one. Control, first off.
Yeah, I'll go first here. So I think that with this New York Jets team, I really feel like this game, and granted, I think they have a long season ahead of them, but I feel like this game is going to be their Super Bowl. It's like, hey, all offseason, this is what we've been waiting for. Even last year, they were probably looking for, as soon as they realized that Aaron Rodgers was going to be hurt, they're like, hey, week 1 next year, we have to come out. We have to send the message, and this is going to catapult us to our Super Bowl run this year. I like the New York Jets to take care of business against the San Francisco 49ers team. I think you're going to see Breece Hall have a big game here. I think they realize they're going to run right at Nick Bosa, and while running right at him, I think that's going to, try to neutralize him there. And then with Aaron Rodgers, I mean, we know the kind of talent that he is. I think against that 49er secondary, those guys are going to have a day. Corley is basically, I had my breakdown on him on Real Recognizes Real. Poor man's Debo. Garrett Wilson's going to be all over the field. And then I think Mike Williams coming in, although he's not fully healthy, I think with just him playing, I think that Jets receiving core is going to do damage to that 49ers team. I like the Jets winning a tight one. I think this is going to be a higher scoring game. I'm going to go with 30-27. Got the Jets. And I think the defense is ultimately what's going to take care of business. I think the 49ers are going to be driving. Defense gets to stop. Jets win 30-27.
Shally.
I'm going to go the opposite on this one. I think San Fran at home to start the year, everybody under the same roof. However you want to slice it. I know Aaron Rodgers is Aaron Rodgers, but I mean, this is this is going to be his first game at game speed full time in since last year. I think that matters a little bit. I think he's a little rusty to come out. I think he'll find his stride. Don't get me wrong. I think it's a very good football game. I just think San Fran at home. I think they ultimately win the football game. I think if this was week 4 or 5, I think it's a different story. I think that first week, getting on the same page with Mike Williams, not so much Garrett Wilson, but I think Brees Hall has a good game. I think C-Mac has a good game, but I think San Francisco just has a little bit too much. And again, I think they are one of the few teams that has defense that matches up against the Jets. So I think they'll give Aaron Rodgers a little bit of fits, especially the beginning, first quarter and a half. I like San Fran 30-24.
What if you're a Jets fan, how mad did you have to be when you seen this schedule? Yeah, just don't schedule us on Monday Night Football week 1 after last year. Thanks. I know we're going to schedule Monday Night Football. All right, well, fine. At least just don't put us at home on that turf. I don't want Aaron Rodgers. I don't want to relive that same situation. Fine, we'll give you a road game. We're going to put you at San Francisco. It's a really ugly spot. I think the Jets are ready for it. I really do. I love Aaron Rodgers in this game, and I think that one thing you have to think is this. Brandon Ayuk has not reported and not been there until yesterday. Trent Williams has not reported, has not been there since yesterday. I don't think this San Francisco 49ers team is ready week 1. And I think that if anyone is going to get after the quarterback and touch Brock Purdy, it's that Jets defense. They made a lot of quarterbacks look normal last year. Patrick Mahomes being one of them. Jalen Hurts being another one. They did it all. Josh Allen. They made a lot of quarterbacks look really normal last year. I think with the best secondary in football, with Sauce Gardner locking up whoever's on the outside, I love the Jets in this football game. I think it's low scoring, though. I think Aaron Rodgers does take a little bit to get rolling. I believe that. I think they'll rely on the run game. I think it's a low scoring football game. Give me 20-13 Jets. He said Trent Williams doesn't need. He probably doesn't, but cardio kind of matters.
Don't tell me Trent Williams doesn't. He's 36 or 37. Like,
he got his way, by the way.
He did. I mean, he hasn't gotten it yet, but he's going to.
It's crazy. All right, well, let's move over to college football. And, good news is we don't have a ton of games to break down. If you want a more in-depth thought breakdown of college football, you got to tune in to Coast to Coast. Guys, I'm going to be honest with you. I made an ass out of myself last week, and it's because I didn't watch enough Coast to Coast. I was giving a lot of people that are injured, that weren't out. I'm working Saturdays. I caught an episode of Coast to Coast this past week, and I'm ready to go with college football. And I'll say this at least. 3-0 to start the season, baby. Control. Where are we starting?
Gene.
Wait, we're not doing pick 'em?
I was going to say.
NFL pick 'em. My bad.
I was going to say. You jumped the gun.
I did. Bad host. Who won last year?
I think it was Bill.
I did.
What's the order?
I'll go first. Kachug go second. Gene go third.
Works for me.
All right. First game we'll start with, we already talked about Dallas at Cleveland. Cleveland's only -2.5. Give me the Browns all day there. I think they win. I really think they win by 7 to 10 points, possibly even more. I think it's it has the chance to be kind of the head scratcher game of the weekend, if I'm being honest. Second game, Arizona +6.5 at Buffalo. I'll take the 6.5. I ultimately think down the road Buffalo is better without Stephon Diggs, but at the same time, I think there's going to be a little bit of growing pains there. And I also like the way Arizona finished the year last year. Kyler Murray starting to look like he's kind of starting to listen and be coachable and turn the corner a little bit for an offense that really didn't struggle to move the ball, and now they're adding Marvin Harrison Jr. on a defense that should be a little bit better. I'll take the 6.5 to cover at Buffalo. Last but not least, Tennessee at Chicago. Chicago -4.5. Give me the Bears. Caleb Williams at home debut, coming out party. I think that defense is just too good to slow down Tennessee. And I don't think Chicago's going to struggle to score points. So I will take the Bears -4.5 at home.
All right, so I'm going down to the NFC South with a couple of these. First game, I like Atlanta -3.5 versus Pittsburgh. I think with the way that Falcons offense will look to start the year, they're going to score a ton of points, and I think it's going to take Pittsburgh a while to figure out the Russell Wilson, Justin Fields experiment. I think Mike Tomlin's a great coach. I think he will figure it out, but I think going down to Atlanta with the Mercedes-Benz Superdome rocking, I think that's going to be a tall task for Pittsburgh. So I like Atlanta to cover 3.5 there. Second game, I like the Saints to cover the -3.5 versus the Carolina Panthers. Usually I don't like picking divisional games, but I think with this one, Carolina, I understand they got a new coach and things like that. I still don't love that Carolina Panthers team. And I think if the Saints come out and just do what they've done so far in the preseason, I know Derek Carr is going to be starting for him, but I think they're going to have a balanced attack with Kamara, and then just getting the ball to Olave and the other guys there. I think they'll be able to take care of business against that Carolina Panthers team. And then the last game I like the under 41.5 Broncos at Seahawks. It's going to be Bo Nix's first start in the NFL, and with the Seahawks, you have to remember Mike McDonald is their new head coach, and he was the defensive coordinator at Baltimore. Seattle has a ton of pieces all over that defense that I think are going to be able to confuse Bo Nix in his first start. So I think that's going to be a lower scoring affair. Then on the flip side, I still think that Geno Smith and company, I think 2 years ago was an anomaly. I think they're going to have some success on offense, but I don't think they're going to be this high scoring juggernaut or anything like that. So I like the under 41.5 there, and also like Seattle to win that game.
I have 3 square plays for you guys. The bonus play I kind of gave out earlier. I love Baltimore +3, but they're not one of my 3 official picks. Baltimore +3 is, I just love that. But I like 3 plays just a little bit more. I'll start with the one that was already mentioned. Give me the Cleveland Browns -2.5 over the Dallas Cowboys. I don't see how Dallas wins this football game. I got to be missing something. I think this is too easy. And I looked at the money and just a bunch of money on Dallas. Bunch of betting percentages on Dallas, but the smart money, the deep money, the big stacks are on Cleveland. When you see that type of a mix, you know where to go in this game. Browns -2.5. I love the Philadelphia Eagles on Friday night. I very rarely pick the Philadelphia Eagles. Give me the Eagles -2.5 over the Green Bay Packers. I think they win that game by 11 points. I don't think you sweat often. And I'm stealing. I love this one also. Shally gave it. I'm going to give it too. Give me the Bears -4.5 over Tennessee. That defense looked incredible at the end of last year. The moment they got Montez Sweat, that defense looked different. Give Eberflus and those guys some credit. Jaquan Brister, Kevin Byard, Jalen Johnson in that secondary. Montez Sweat. You got Tremaine Edwards, who is built in a linebacker factory. TJ Edwards over here. Tremaine Edmonds. TJ Edwards. But I like the Bears in this football game. Forget the offense. I think their defense dominates. I think Will Levis throws a couple the wrong way. Give me the Bears -4.5.
You and Shally sharing 2 picks week 1.
It's wild.
Crazy.
Oh, listen, he won last year. I'm trying to cheat. Got to follow it. Let's get into some college football. Where are we headed first, Cottrell?
All right. So I don't know how we want to talk about like any recap from last week or
all I want to talk about is Florida State sucking. DJ, get out of college, Ukulele. Go throw him in a D2 program. That guy stinks.
Yeah,
5-star bum.
It's absolutely insane. He was rated in between, I think, Bryce Young and CJ Stroud in the years they came out. Bryce being number 1, DJ being 2, and CJ being number 3.
One of these things just ain't like the other.
You're wrong.
Go, listen, give Kyle Edwards his credit. Go BC, baby.
For sure. But, I mean, just a couple of quick things that I wanted to hit on before we go into our previews. You had Clemson going up against Georgia. Georgia took care of business. That game was never close. Just like, most of us predicted there. We talked about Penn State putting it on West Virginia. That game was never close. And then really the only other big one was Notre Dame going to College Station and taking care of business against Texas A&M.
Guys want to give me compliments. That's fine. I appreciate it. They were my 3 picks.
Were they really?
I had Penn State, I had Georgia, and I had Notre Dame.
I didn't realize those were your 3 picks. No, sorry. I got one more ranked game for you from last week. LSU versus USC in Vegas on Monday night.
What's wrong about that one?
That game was surprising in many ways. Surprising in many ways for me.
Brian Kelly is present and accounted for.
He's in midseason form for sure.
I loved it.
Listen, man, he is what he is, man. He will win you 10 football games every year. He will recruit well, nothing more. That is what he is. Did it for 10 years in Notre Dame. That team at LSU will never win a national championship under Brian Kelly. They'll win 10 games every year. They'll probably make the college football playoff a bunch. They will never win the championship.
Can we talk about? Listen, that's fine. We can talk. But Miller Moss looked great in that football game for USC.
He did.
Just want to give that guy credit. Like he was like 30 for 37.
Yeah, I mean
7 for 36, whatever it was.
He was really one of the few things that wasn't a question mark for them. Him and Branch, it was everything else around them.
So much better.
It did.
It could be a combination of like Brian Kelly just choking, but that defense looked a lot better.
The thing is, though, is that I thought LSU's offense actually looked pretty good. I thought Garrett Nussmeier looked good. John Emery looked good. Like while he was still playing towards ACL, that's horrible news for them.
Came out
but
today.
I think USC, them having a bend but don't break approach, maybe that's gonna work for them. I thought it was surprising on both ends. LSU's defense definitely, looked good early, although Miller was moving the ball a ton in the second quarter there. But I thought it was a really good game though. And then Wayne, don't you worry. That's coming up later in about 20 minutes. It's coming up. Don't you worry.
Yeah. It is. I mean, it's if you're a USC fan, I think you have to be cautiously optimistic, I guess you could say. You've had, for lack of a better term, you've had a year to scout LSU and what they're going to do. Getting into kind of more random things now, and after they have stuff on tape, it'll be really interesting to see how they adapt and how they adjust. But I mean, it's already leaps and bounds better than any game you watched from last year. So, we'll see. We'll see where USC is in a couple weeks. LSU. This is going to be your life for the next 9 years, whatever he signed for. I don't know to tell you.
I want to get in there. Can I give credit to Eric Gentry, Newman Garetti's own, Philadelphia Pride, Eric Gentry, the middle linebacker for the USC Trojans. He was all over the field. He had 2 tackles for losses. He looked incredible. Senior, probably not going to make the NFL. Let's just be very clear there. But Newman Garetti's own, Philadelphia Pride, Eric Gentry, baby. Sorry. Quick.
No, you did a good game. Like I said, I think you just at least have to be, feel promising if you're a USC fan. Like I said, it's already miles above, what they look like all of last year and the year before. So, again, not necessarily an offensive juggernaut as of yet in LSU. That was a good football game. I think it's a great win for Lincoln Riley to start the year. When he gets into Big Ten play, and I don't know I think they play Oregon. I'm not sure. When they start playing other teams, it'll be a little bit different. But you gotta give USC credit. They look good. They look better than I thought they were going to.
Great.
Where we going next?
All right, so we can go ahead and go over to week 2. We only got 2 ranked matchups here. So start off with the first one. We got Tennessee traveling to NC State in the Duke's Mayo Classic.
I mean, Tennessee's kind of one of, I don't want to say surprises. I mean, they were ranked 15th. I think they still are, but they're kind of one of the talks of week 1. There's a lot of people now that are kind of jumping on the boat very quickly after watching them play. NC State struggled a little bit at the beginning of the game. I actually watched a little bit of that game and then kind of really found the rhythm in the second half and then pulled away. I think it's an interesting game. Tennessee to travel, first road game. I think they have too much on offense, though. I think Tennessee goes to NC State and takes care of business.
I love Tennessee. I love Josh Heupel. I think he's been a very good college coach, and he's basically brought that program up. I love where Tennessee's headed. I think Tennessee wins this game rather convincingly.
Agreed. And I think
Cottrell's favorite guy, Dylan Sampson.
Dylan Sampson definitely looked incredible last week. Nico looked good. I know it's not his first real start, but first start of the season and first time being the guy there. So thought he also looked incredible there. And then for NC State, I mean, I think you have to look at the fact that last week they had a run. They were given a run for their money. Grace McCall didn't look like the 5-year senior, 5th-year senior that he is, and things like that here. So I like Tennessee. I like Tennessee to win big. And I don't think this game is pretty close. I think Tennessee is going to score a ton of points here, and NC State's gonna fall out of the top 25 rankings after the week.
I think there's a lot of casuals who didn't really know who Nico was, and they know who Nico is now. Like I said, I think he's one of the biggest stars of week one. You throw him. Miami just thumping Florida is another one. Cam Ward looked great.
Cam Ward looked great.
I will push pause on Cam Ward only because I feel like we did this last year and jinxed him after week 6 after we said he wasn't getting enough love for Heisman, and they lost 4 straight games. But Miami looked good. Florida, I mean, it's Billy Napier. He might be counting his days.
He's
counting his days in Gainesville, man. I think it's gonna be a long season. I fully would have been okay. I think if that game was very competitive and Florida was in it till the end, I at least think you could have built upon that. They got their asses kicked in a home opener. They were never in that game ever. I don't know how you want to spin it or whatever you want to do, but they did that. Graham Mertz is now out with a concussion, so they're going to start. They're going to start their 5-star freshie. So could end up being the best thing for them. I think if you're Billy Napier and you're trying to play the buy one more year game, I think you almost got to start him for the rest of the year and just say it was growing pains with the freshman, and now we're ready to go and see what happens. But Miami looked great. Georgia looked great. Trying to think who else really stood out.
We're getting off task here.
All right. Well, I'm just going over stuff. Just rambling.
Well, I think he's getting off task because we're about to talk about the game of the week.
You think that's what it is, Gene?
I think it's exactly what it is. Now,
heard that for 12 weeks last year.
I will say this. I don't know how where is this game being played?
Michigan.
I seen a home game for Michigan, but I had to ask that question because how in the world is Texas a 7.5-point favorite at the Big House? That is absurd. Michigan can still run the football. Michigan still plays very good defense. Why is this a 7.5-point spread for Texas? Yeah, granted, they beat Tennessee Chattanooga 52-0. Awesome. I'm so happy for Texas.
It's funny to me. It's funny to me because it was when it originally opened. It was between like 4.5 and 5.5, and it got down all the way to 2.5 last week for people that had betting it. And then the game happened, and like you said, Texas looked like they looked. Michigan didn't look great. Played a better team. Kind of like Gene said, very ho-hum performance. Played great defense. Defense is exactly what I thought it would be. And it jumped to 7.5 overnight. So that's where we're at now. It's still, as of right now, it's still where it's at.
I think it's a wild stat.
It definitely is wild, but I think the big thing is that Michigan I believe only returned 1 start on offense, and that was Colston Loveland. Is that true, Bill? They're returning linemen.
I mean, it's one of those things. If you don't want to count Donovan Edwards, if you don't want to count the 2 tackles that played, almost 50% of the snaps. I mean, it's if you want to talk who's out there start like for snap number 1 of each game, then it's only Colston. But you're talking about even the wide receivers, other than Cornelius Johnson, Roman, the next 3 guys are all the guys that are playing now. So
yeah, but I mean, I say that to say it. kind of showed with that team, not defensively, but just offensively. It felt like, the quarterbacks, you can definitely tell that, hey, this is their first time really in big game action. They were throwing the ball to Colston, and to his credit, Colston had a great first game. He caught basically everything that was thrown to him. But even the running game, like, as you guys know, as much as I hate Michigan, I've been a big Donovan Edwards fan, and he never even got a rhythm in that game either. So I think that's ultimately why Vegas put the line up there. I think they're trying to cover their ass in case what we saw last week is a Michigan team that's going to be there this season. Now, I don't think that's going to be the case. I just think they have to figure out ways to hide their quarterback, because the quarterback's going to be the biggest issue for this team. And Alex Orji, I think he showed in that game exactly why he's not the starter. But at the same time, I think forget the other quarterback's name, but I think he also showed you like glimpses of, hey, he may be a good quarterback down the line. He's really not ready yet either, but he's just the best we got. I think Michigan just has to find a way to hide the quarterback moving forward here. With that said, I'll just go ahead and go right in my breakdown here. I selfishly want Michigan to win every game up until Ohio State. I think that's the best time of the year when both teams go into that game 11-0. With that said, I'm rolling with Texas to get it done here. I think if Texas can find a way to score 24 points in this specific game, I think it's over. I don't think that Michigan team has been able to put it together that quickly, and I just think there's going to be too many mistakes from the quarterbacks in this one. I think you get 2 turnovers from those quarterbacks on that Michigan side of things, and once they go down early in that game, I don't think Donovan Edwards is going to be the bell cow that you would want to, just because you're playing from behind. So I like Texas to win this one. I'm going to go 27-17 in kind of a lower scoring game, just because I think Texas capitalizes on those turnovers, but I also think Michigan's defense comes to play, and you don't really see too many explosive plays from the Texas side of the ball.
I'll go next because Bill's the Michigan fan. You guys know how big I am on Texas, and you guys understand how much I dislike Michigan. And they won their national championship, and I was happy for Shally, and now I get to hate him again. But to be fair, I can't hate them enough to lay 7.5 points. I can't do that. I'll take Texas to win this one in a very low-scoring game. That Michigan defense is very good. Not just a little good, very good. I think the game's 17-10. Give me Texas to win the game by 7, not covered to 7.5. I think it's a low-scoring football game. I think Quinn Ewers does just enough to win the game. But I think Michigan continues to run the football and gets better and better at running the football this year. And I think that Michigan keeps this game very competitive.
I'm not going to pick against them. But that being said, I think they're in a very tough spot on Saturday. I think Davis Warren showed in the second half, I think he showed glimpses of kind of finally getting comfortable, and he made a couple of really nice throws, actually. They got to get Donovan going early. Mullins behind him had really one really good drive. Defense is still elite. Defense is exactly what I thought it was. I think defense keeps them in the game Saturday. They had 5 interceptions. 3 of them came back on – one was legit penalty. The other 2 were just 2 of the worst calls I've ever seen. But they were all over the place. That secondary – Will Johnson only played like half the game because they were rotating so many guys in. He had the big pick 6 at the end. Defensive line, the ends did great. I think they'll keep enough pressure on Quinn Ewers to keep it interesting. Linebackers look great. I'll say Michigan pulls it out somehow. 2017. I'm like Gene. Even if I was picking against them, I don't think they win by 8 points. I don't see that. If Texas goes in there and blows them out, then maybe Texas really is the juggernaut that some people think they are. I don't. I've said before, I think Quinn Ewers is great. I think the rest of the team that he had last year is better than this year. So
that defense looked really good versus Colorado State. Oh.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So I think they can get enough stuff on the edge going, get Colston going over the middle to test. The secondary is the worst part of that defense. So they can make enough plays early to keep them honest and maybe get Donovan going. I think maybe they pull out a squeaker. So I'll go 2017 Michigan. I think it's a low scoring game though.
Let's get into pick 'em. Oh, Shally. I'll let you start because I feel like that you'll redeem yourself after a very slow week one.
Don't manage to finish. But I will start. Notre Dame minus 27.5 at home. Their home opener against Northern Illinois. I don't think Northern Illinois is going to score. Notre Dame's exactly what we thought they were. They have a top 5 defense, and they're going to try to control the ball. I don't know if they can go the rest of the year with running Riley Leonard 15, 20 times a game. I don't think that's ideal or smart, but it's not going to matter in this game. I'll lay the 27.5 with Notre Dame against Northern Illinois. Like I said, I know Notre Dame's going to score 4 times. I don't think Northern Illinois scores a touchdown. Michigan State and Maryland. Maryland out of nowhere looked really good last week. Minus 9.5 at home. One of my 3 losses from last week is thinking Michigan State could take care of a crappy team and put them away, and they could not. They struggled. They are a little further away than I thought they were. Granted, it's week 1, and I get it, but traveling for your second game, play a Big Ten game on the road is not ideal to make a lot of those situations better. I'll take Maryland minus 9.5 at home. Last game, Temple at Navy. Temple, also one of my losses last week. They stink. They play hard, just like Gene said. They stink. Navy, new coaching staff. I don't want to say a lot of new players obviously to be enrolled there to play, but they look great against Bucknell. Again, not a football powerhouse by any means, but when's the last time you saw Navy score 45 points in a game? So Navy at home, minus 12.5. I'll take that. And for Superdog, I'm going to go Bowling Green plus 35.5. I don't think Penn State is ever in any danger of losing this game or even not winning this game by a shit ton. Bowling Green just is one of the better MAC teams. I think they'll be able to put some drives together here and there, score some points, and maybe just keep it within, say, 4 touchdowns instead of 5. So I think Penn State wins very convincingly. I think I might just be able to steal like seven Superdog points. So they're my picks for the week.
Control.
All right. And then you have me going next, right?
Yes, sir.
All right. So, in my games this week, the first one, I like Syracuse at home plus 2.5 versus Georgia Tech. I know Georgia Tech is everyone's darlings right now with after how they took care of business against Florida State. They're 2-0 at this point in the season. However, I saw that Syracuse team play last week, and granted, it was only against Ohio, but that offense looked absolutely dynamite. Kyle McCord, what'd you say?
I said, who's their quarterback?
Kyle McCord looked really good in that game there. And I think that just showed you a big part of why I picked them to go to the ACC championship game this year. So I do think Syracuse takes care of business at home. They cover that 2.5-point spread, and they win that game. Second game I like. Give me the over 58.5 Colorado at Nebraska. I think both teams are going to score well into the 40s in that one. I was actually surprised when I saw that line because I was thinking it had to be probably somewhere close to 67.5. I think Nebraska will be able to score and score quickly, and I get it. They have a new coach. Matt Rule is now there in Nebraska, but at the same time, this is a Colorado team that hung 30-plus points on that Nebraska defense. They didn't bring in that many guys defensively, and we saw how Colorado's offense had it rolling last week. I think that continues. I think this is a 45-41 kind of game. I think Shador and Dylan Raiola, they battle it out, and these offenses go crazy in that one. So I like the over 58.5 there. Last game. Like Kansas on the road, minus 5.5 at Illinois. Again, talk about a team that had a high-powered offense last week. That is that Kansas Jayhawks team. Between Neal and then Daniels at the quarterback position, they were all over that field, and I expect that to continue. I think Illinois is definitely a step up in competition from where they played last week. However, I think they keep it rolling. I like Kansas, at least 2 possessions in this one, so definitely we'll take the 5.5 there. And then my super dog this week didn't go anything crazy, but whenever there's a big game, this team steps up to the plate. And guess who we have this week? We have App State plus 17 versus Clemson. I think this App State team is always game for the big one. They always get up for it. We've seen in year past, they've took North Carolina to the brink. They beat James Madison last year when they were in the top 25. And I think Clemson still has a ton of question marks on offense. I know it was Georgia last week, but them scoring 3 points, it's the way that they looked while doing it. I think App State's going to give them everything that they can handle. Also, I think Clemson wins, but I like App State to keep that within one possession.
Oh, wow. I like that. I'll start with, I have 3, obviously, and then I might be super dog. I'll start with Oklahoma State. They were one of my surprises last week. South Dakota State was only a 7.5-point dog. They were a lot of people's darlings. They were going to keep it close with Oklahoma State. Alan Bowman and Oklahoma State looked incredible in that game. They dominated the entire game. They were up 41-13. South Dakota State scored a late touchdown to make it look a little closer than it was. Oklahoma State looked very good. I like Oklahoma State again this week, minus the 7.5 over Arkansas. I'm not calling them Arkansas. They're Arkansas. Take the AR away. They're Kansas. That's what they are. I'll take Oklahoma State minus 7.5 over Arkansas. Second game on the docket. Cam Rising and that Utah team looked really good. I'm taking Utah minus 14.5 over Baylor. I don't think Baylor's that good, and I think Utah is going to be really good this year. Cam Rising, 5 touchdowns in 2.5 quarters, and then they sat him down. I like Cam Rising and that Utah team to dominate Baylor this week. Lay the 14.5, have them destroy Baylor. And then this is another very square pick, but there's not a team that put a beating on anyone more than Ole Miss last week. I'll take Ole Miss minus the 41.5 over Middle Tennessee. Jackson Dart was slinging it all over the yard. The guy's hitting 50-yard completion, 40-yard completion. On the run, Ole Miss is going to be a very good football team this year. Give me Ole Miss, lay the 41.5. I have no problem with it. And for my super dog, guys, I'm not doing this anymore. I'm not doing this anymore. Home dogs, that's all I'm doing the rest of the year. I don't care if they stink. New Mexico State is awful. Give me them plus 22.5 over Liberty. They're home. They're a dog. Liberty's not that great. Give me New Mexico State plus 22.5, and hopefully I'll pick up a couple points. New Mexico State could have Cottrell playing quarterback. That's how good they look at quarterback. It doesn't matter. I'll take the home dog, 22.5, keep within 14, gain me some super dog points. That's my picks this week.
Don't hate on me at quarterback. Ask RJ. The one year I was at the Kentucky Bowl slinging it.
I'm not hating on you. I'm just saying that New Mexico State's quarterback was 5 for 17 in a game versus like John Abraham University. It was terrible. Doesn't matter. I'm taking them. They're home, 22.5. I'll lay the points. I mean, I'll add the points. Let's get in. You got to be kidding me. We got to move on.
All right. So mine is something that Wayne Curtis alluded to a little bit earlier. So on Monday night, the ABC, Disney, ESPN, that whole organization, they decided, hey, right before the LSU and USC game, we are going to discontinue our partnership with DirecTV. So I'm scrambling trying to find it. I'm like, hey, I know this game's on DirecTV. I know it's in the package. What's going on? It's just not working. And then Audia comes by and she tells me that, hey, Disney's in this dispute with DirecTV and they're not partnered anymore. So for me, I think the biggest issue that I have with that is that it's Labor Day weekend, and that's the big football game of the day. Like that's one of the games that a lot of people are waiting for. Games getting played in Vegas. LSU has a huge fan base. USC has a huge fan base. Like these are blue blood caliber schools, and you decide to just cancel the partnership. Now, that'd have been one thing if you do it on Tuesday, like after the game, but Monday, literally 30 minutes before kickoff, is absolutely absurd. Wayne said he went ahead and canceled his DirecTV stream already. Know a lot of people were complaining about it. DirecTV, look, I understand Disney seems to just be the bullies here. They did it with Spectrum last year. Now they're doing it with you guys. But at the end of the day, they're king at this point. They're king. You're going to lose a ton of customers if you don't bow down to whatever concession they want, because people want to see football. You cannot let this happen right before the football season. So this week for me, Disney, ABC, ESPN, DirecTV, all parties involved that made it a hassle to just watch a college football game.
Kidding me?
It's 100% on ABC. Disney, ABC are they're shrewd, ridiculous negotiators. They did it to Verizon on New Year's Eve, and Verizon came to an agreement with them on New Year's Eve. They said, we're going to cancel all your New Year's Day Super 6 games. She's not going to have them on Fios. Like, it was that's what they do. They did it the Spectrum last year. That's who they are. They're a very cruddy company, and that I blame that 100% on Disney. And I sell Fios, guys. I would love for anybody that has DirecTV to switch over to Fios. I'm good with that, but that's 100% on ABC and Disney.
I'm aware, but DirecTV is going to have to just swallow the pill and get it together, because if not, they're going to lose a lot of people.
You're right.
You're up, brother. I really don't have one.
All right. Well, I knew exactly what I was doing come Sunday afternoon, and this is so easy for me. And I'm sick of the turmoil. I'm sick of the issues. You got to be kidding me this week is the full culmination of Sheryl Swoopes and her complete downfall and her ridiculous hate of Caitlin Clark. It is absolutely absurd. You heard me last week. I talked about the W, talking about, hey, you can like Angel and not hate Caitlin. You can like Caitlin and not hate Angel. Sheryl Swoopes does not believe in that. Sheryl Swoopes does not like Caitlin Clark. It has been very obvious for months upon months upon months. She has said comment after comment after comment that has been completely inaccurate and false. Let's start with the fact that when she said when Caitlin Clark broke Kelsey Plum's record that she should have to do it in the same amount of games. Guess what? She did it in less games. She didn't have a COVID year. She didn't have a 5th year. You're wrong. She had 4 years, and she broke the record in less games. Then she said, well, of course she looks good. She's 25 playing against 20-year-olds. Just a Google search will show you that Caitlin Clark was 22 years old in her college year, and she's still 22 years old. She turns 23 this January. Oh, and then she said, well, Caitlin Clark's chucking up 40 shots a game. Well, the survey says Caitlin Clark in college is chucking up 22 shots a game. That's all not here nor there. She was on her podcast talking about the surgence of the Indiana fever since the Olympic break. She's talking about, and Kelsey Mitchell and Aaliyah Boston and what's the girl's name? Lexi Hull are all playing great basketball, and just completely skips over Caitlin Clark. Doesn't say a word about her. Then Sunday, she is set to call the Minnesota Lynx Indiana Fever game, and I think it was like 14 hours before the game was supposed to broadcast, they announced that Sheryl Swoopes will not be calling the game, and there's different announcers. I don't know what you have against this girl, and I can understand if you have something against her fans. But if you're a podcaster, a WNBA legend, and a person that calls basketball games, you have to have an amount of unbiasedness. Guys, I don't know if this is a spoiler alert. Shally doesn't like Angel Reese. He's never liked Angel Reese. But he'll get on this show and give honest commentary about her constantly, about her rebounding or about her defense. He'll talk trash about her, but he'll sometimes be objective. Sheryl Swoopes has zero objectivity in her body. How do you mention the Indiana Fever and not give Caitlin Clark one piece or shred of credit? That is insane to me. For that, this week, Sheryl Swoopes.
Kidding me.
Someone defend her.
I don't hate Angel Reese, for the record.
I was kind of kidding, but
I don't like certain things Angel Reese has said or the way she's acted. I don't hate her by any means.
I get it. My point being is
I know your point is
some objectivity. And Sheryl Swoopes doesn't know what the word objectivity means. And this is all going back to the game, the one game the Chicago Sky beat the Indiana Fever, and Sheryl Swoopes standing on the sideline of the Chicago Sky and hugged Angel Reese afterwards and whispered something in her ear. And then they asked Angel Reese, what did she say to you? And she goes, I can't say that. I can't repeat what she said. Like, it's just a whole constant. And I get it, man. You picked a side. That's what she did. I'm on Team Angel, which means I have to hate Team Caitlin. It's stupid. This is not Team Edward and Team Jacob. This is sports, and you're a commentator. Knock it off.
I don't even think it's so much Team Angel or Team Caitlin. I mean, because it like you even said, like she goes back and discredits everything she did at college, or no matter what she's doing, she just doesn't like Caitlin Clark. I don't even think it's a matter of trying to pump up Angel Reese. She she just hates Caitlin Clark for some reason.
Yeah.
I mean, it's some of them
Very
are
obvious.
but it's very obvious. But it's neither here nor there.
Any final comments?
I got nothing. Ready for a good weekend of football.
Well, good. Shall
No, I'm good.
I want to wish a happy birthday to Miss Stephanie Thrasher. Today's her birthday. She was a pivotal part of putting everything together for this weekend for Mike. And Mike's been in the chat. Appreciate you, Mike. Love you, brother. Happy birthday, Steph. Appreciate all you did for Mike, for the fundraiser for Mike, who's been in our chat. I'm not going to call him his nickname. Somebody else can, and I can't say his last name. So that's all we're going to do there. But happy birthday, Steph. Appreciate you and your family checking out the show and Cutting Edge Sports Apparel, Kurt Hensman, and all those guys. So appreciate everybody that tuned in. I'm the NFL Genius Gene Walzak. That's Kent State's own, Cleveland's own College Cottrell, Uncle Shally, Scholastic Shally, Mr. William Shawcross, and we are signing